Happy holidays and Merry Muppmas, everyone. Welcome to a very festive edition, the first of our attempted sort of like series of festive specials for a Muppet moment. Once again, I am your Christmassy co-host, Will.
And I'm your even Christmassier co-host, Max Mupdate. Oh fuck, I'm not Mupdates. I'm
Max
Muppet
Mupdates?
Max.
You trying to steal this from me? You trying to take my Mupdates empire?
I'm taking your whole brand this holiday season because that's what the holidays is about. It's about brand.
The holidays is about thieving. Are we going full Grinch on this one?
I'm going Grinch. I'm going Scrooge. I'm going the evil, creepy ladies that were stealing all of Scrooge's stuff in Muppet Christmas Carol. I'm taking all of that. I'm taking it all.
And if that's not the real spirit of Christmas, then I don't know what is.
I don't
Um,
know.
Thank you for joining us for our first festive Muppet moment. And we are joined by a very special guest we are very grateful to have. Would you like to introduce yourself, very special guest who we are very grateful to have?
It's me, the ghost of Christmas presents, and know me better man.
No me
Ho,
better
ho.
man.
Hi, everybody. It's Joe Hennes from toughpigs.com.
Woo!
Thank
Woo,
you.
I got a woo. Ooh,
Yeah, you get a
that
woo.
was
Everybody
two
gets a
Christmas gift for
woo.
me.
Gotta get a woo.
This
Uh,
is an incredibly exciting thing for us because, like, Will and I grew up as like Muppet fans. We have, in our adulthood, really kind of put all our cards into just being Muppet obsessed people. And that probably wouldn't have happened if we didn't have like Tough Pigs as an organization, as a news source, as all of these things. And it's extremely cool that Joe, thank you so much for being on here. Like, this is, I know, a very cool moment for Will and I to have you on the podcast. So thank you.
I'm so glad to hear it. I mean, it touches my heart to know, in all seriousness, that what you guys just said. And yeah, it's weird to me because like when I got into this game, there was really only a couple of people who had been doing this before us, and I was thinking about this recently of like why does Muppet fandom seem so recent, at least for me as an adult human being, and I feel like Muppet fandom didn't really exist until the internet came along, and then we had to like have the internet be a thing for a while before people like Danny Horn came started Tough Pigs and then Muppet Wiki, and uh so like now I remember meeting Danny for the first time, when like before I took over Tough Pigs, and like he was like, oh my God, it's Danny Horn and he wants to hang out with me. And like, how cool is that? And Danny's like, I'm just a guy. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And now, people like me and Ryan and Jared and the other Tough Pigs writers, like we're at that level that Danny was to us. And like we don't feel old. Like we're not old men, but also
No.
like we're like the elders of this community. I don't know how I feel about that. This
I
is
was
all
gonna
just to
say
say
the
like,
torch has kind of been passed. That's
right.
our deal with you, kind of.
Well, and what
Yeah,
you're also telling me is that you expect me to pass this torch along to you at some point.
I
we're
I
taking the
will
mean,
torch
retire,
regardless.
if you
and like here you
wanna.
guys are be like, well, now we suddenly find ourselves as the Muppet elders with these new kids who are coming along. And you know what? It's gonna happen. It's gonna
It's
happen
gonna
to
happen.
you.
It'll
I was
happen
like,
to
like
you.
I used to know what was hip, and then I don't know what hip
Now
was.
everything is
Now
weird
everything
and
is new and
scary to
scary.
me. It'll
And you know what?
happen to
It is. That
you.
definitely happened. That happened to me. And like to the point where like I've given up. Like I don't care what people are listening to. I don't know who these TikTok stars are. I'm shaking my fist at the cloud like everyone else my age.
I like it's so funny to me to hear you describe like how you were in the position when about people prior doing Muppet things, and then like we went to Muppet Weekend, like we had heard of Henson Weekend and Momi Weekend as like this really cool thing where the Tough Pigs people are going to be there and all these really talented puppeteers and all these things, and we had kind of heard of it as this like really big cool event that's like this, oh my god, not like an exclusive club, but we're like, here is all of these cool people that have been doing Muppet stuff for a long time. And I'm sure that's a crazy perspective shift for you to have all of these like Muppet Graham 2025 newbies come in and be like, Joe Hennes, Tough Pigs, what?
Yes, but this is also the kind of thing. I mean, not to talk about people who know who I am. That
Mm.
was never the reason for getting into this game. But having this whole group of people, these Muppet Graham folks like you, to show up and be like, "Hey, we've made this whole community online, and now we're here physically at this event because we're such big Muppet fans, and not just a Muppet fan, and we want to have this community." And that's what we've always wanted. We've always wanted this community to get bigger and bigger. And for the longest time, the like the diehard Muppet fan community was very small, and it was very cool because we all knew each other. But now it's growing and growing and growing. And you're talking about this event that we all went to back in September, and uh, like the fact that you all came as a huge group and you all love each other so much and you welcomed everyone into your group who was there was so special. Like I truly think that's what made that event really special and made it feel like this wasn't just like a bunch of Muppet fans who are coming in watching some screenings and shopping and then going home. Like this was like something really really extraordinary. Like I'm still riding that high from a few months ago, and I'm sure you guys are too. And it just makes me think of like, how are we going to top that next year?
Oh, we got
I
Oh no.
A part of me is like, I actually, two things I wanted to say real quick is that one, like Henson weekend was so special. And, there was a part of a bit of anxiety that I had going into it. Not that I thought anyone would be like unwelcoming or there wouldn't be like a community sense, but it's like, yeah, people have been going to it for years and have known each other as like this kind of, as you said, Muppet Die Hard was very like an intimate thing for a while. And now it's kind of exploded within 2025. But then on like the inverse, how you talked about like how we brought like an energy to that, you all were so accepting and so cool, and it made us feel so comfortable, and it was just like such a special time. And I just felt like every section of this community that came together, it was a really cool like moment for me to be like, damn, we're all just here connected over the Muppets, and this is wonderful. Like, what a special time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's so beautiful.
no, it
And
was
I'll add this
legitimately
too
such a.
is
Oh,
I'm sorry to
sorry.
interrupt you, Will, but I have to say this is that Muppet fans should not be gatekeepy. And
Yes,
I don't think, and we're
we're
not
not.
gatekeepy. I feel like we are unique in the fandom world. Star Wars fans are gatekeepy. Star Trek fans are. Doctor Who fans, like all these different huge fandoms. Harry Potter fans, um, Kingdom Hearts fans. I don't know, Pokemon fans. I don't know any
That
of
was
these
a deep
people.
cut.
All the
I don't know.
fans.
I don't know any of these fandoms. Like I don't know. I'm not in those because it seems like it's not as welcoming as Muppet fans. Muppet fans, if you show up to one of these events or if you make friends with these folks on Instagram or Tuppix Discord or whatever it is, like there's a 99% chance that we're going to welcome you with open arms. And
Absolutely.
just
Like,
because we've been around for a long time, that doesn't mean I feel like, well, this is actually for us or we're actually the ones who get to say X, Y, and Z. It's like no. I just want more of you. I just want you all hanging out with us.
it
That's
was so cool. Like Muppet Weekend really was a like proof to me that it's like this is a truly like accepting and great community in that regard. Like I personally feel like I have somebody like being just a nerd my whole life. I've been in so many different fandom spaces, and this is probably the least toxic fandom space I've been in, which is really great. And I think Muppets are especially something like one of the major focuses of Muppet media is accessibility in all regards. And being an accessible community is something that I think everyone here does take really seriously. And it's like a really cool thing that, yeah, I think Henson weekend and future events, I think we're going to be able to top it because, like, I think the energy was so great this year. I just think whether it's online, in person, whatever, I think this is just, yeah, I'm excited to see this community grow.
The
um,
really beautiful thing about Henson Weekend was just how it brought all of us like scattered folks from all over the place, and we all came together under a sort of united vibe and just shared in our time together and just had such an absolutely wonderful, special time together. Which kind of reminds me of a certain Muppet special, one that it seems appropriate that we're gathered at this time of year to talk about the festive
yes, it's the
season.
Lady Gaga Christmas special.
But who
Yes, I
could
love Mr.
forget?
Willoughby's.
Who could forget? We will, one day we will get round to you, Gaga, but not today. That's not on the agenda for today.
I
No
just want to
deviation. The one
I want
thing
to
we
quickly
do on this
say,
podcast is not deviate from our topics ever.
to
As this
quickly,
first chunk of the podcast has shown, clearly.
I literally like as you said that I was like, oh, I have something to deviate real quick.
Do it, deviate, do it.
I just have to say one sentence that the Lady Gaga Muppet special is a lot more bearable when you cut out all of the like Lady Gaga and add stuff. So I watched an edit of it on YouTube where it was just Muppets, and I was like, it's alright. It's all right, but
There's
only
some
when you
good stuff
trim
in that
out all
in that
of that.
special. There's like two good moments in there. I'll give you that. But I also think that the Lady Gaga stuff is so bad. It is absolutely worth watching just to hear her like see her like stumble through this thing and like for you at home to realize, oh, thank God you took acting lessons. Like you got your act together there
It's not
because
for
this was not
everybody.
sustainable, Lady Gaga.
It works for Ariana. It doesn't have to work for everybody.
It's true.
Thank
But
God we have a much more exciting and beloved Christmas special that I would say. I would go as so far as to say that the topic of discussion, Muppet Family Christmas, which is like one of the greatest Christmas specials, Muppet and regardless. I think that over the last few years, it has become a bit of a cult classic in terms of holiday specials. I've seen a lot more like non-Muppet media and news outlets or whatever when they're ranking holiday specials or underrated holiday specials. I always see Muppet Family Christmas, which makes me very happy.
no, it's
I,
good to see because it's something that's so like geared towards like people who absolutely adore the Muppets, but I've had it like recommended to me by people who thought that I haven't like heard of it because I like to my friends I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's the our friend who likes Muppets." And I've just recently moved and two of my local friends who I will shout out Echo and Tone
shout out
recently
Toad.
like wanted to shout out to them. Wanted to have me over for like a festive watch party and was like, "Oh my God, have you seen Muppet Family Christmas?" And I was like, "Have I seen Muppet Family Christmas? Who do
How
you
dare
take me
you?
for?"
You think I freaking am?
So
But
like you guys are lucky in that you're growing up as Muppet fans in this era because I remember I knew the Muppet Family Christmas existed. I may have had a tape of it off of TV. I don't actually recall when I was a kid, but there was a VHS release at some point when I was young, and as you probably know, it was incomplete. There was like edits made out of it, and
No Snowman Fozzie.
there's no Snowman and Fozzie song, like other little edits that just kind of made the thing a little bit jumpy. And if you were lucky enough to be in the fan community at that point, which I was not, there were people who would trade. There was like trading circles, and so like you could get a full version of it at that point. I was not one of them.
Like black market
I mean,
Muppet
kind
display
of.
meeting
Yeah,
up with
yeah.
people in a
behind
dark
closed
alley with a big
doors,
trench coat, I was like, "Hey,
Yes,
I got some Muppet Family
literally.
Christmas for you."
dark
Yeah.
shady hotel room. You got the stuff, and it's
You
Muppet Family
You got
Christmas
the
VHS.
it's
you got some
Lefty from Sesame
extended
Street.
Muppets in
Right.
there for me.
So like but then uh so like there was these releases that weren't complete and like once I got my hands on a file of it and this again was not in like the oh I'll just throw it on a shared drive thing like this is before that I would have to like burn DVDs for people and like I had friends who'd be like oh, I heard you've got this thing and I'm like sure yeah I'll happily share it with you and taking the time to burn a DVD and hand it to them in person and nowadays, it's like you could just watch it on YouTube. Like someone's uploaded it. Like you could just decide in this moment to pause this podcast, go watch Muppet Family Christmas, come back here 44 minutes later and continue. That's it.
It's true. You don't have to turn away from the podcast though. Don't listen
I mean,
to
you don't have
you can
to. You
you can
could.
stay if you want. You can keep listening if you like. Um
I think it's so funny that you ended up becoming like the Muppet Family Christmas dealer in the community.
I
Yo, I
mean,
heard Joe Hennes has got the stuff. Like
but
they
that's the thing. Is like you talk about like you've got these friends who like oh yeah they know I'm the Muppet fan. It's like so you get these people who aren't in the Muppet fan community who are like oh I kind of remember this thing or like oh I grew up watching this thing and I haven't seen it in years or whatever it is. It's like well of course I'm going to ask the Muppet fan in my life what it was where I can get it if they can hook me up. I would do the same thing if there was like a friend of mine who was like, "Oh, I've always wanted to see the Star Wars holiday special." Well, I'm gonna ask my friend Dave, who's a huge Star Wars fan, if he can hook me up with the real deal.
I do get so many questions like that from like all of my like local like online friends who like I'm like their go-to Muppet person because they're not like super
Yeah,
connected in the community here. Um, it's so bizarre being like the Muppet hookup for people because it's like, man, I don't even know everything there is to know. There's people over here who know way more than me. Man, I don't know who Rugby Tiger was until about a year ago. I like I'm not by any like qualified means an expert, but it is so like yeah, so weirdly like emboldening to be like, oh yeah, here's the info that you're after. Yeah, yes, I know about that
Yes,
obscure
yes, I know
Muppet.
how to search for something on the Muppet Wiki.
Yeah, I can navigate the Internet Archive.
Yeah, I know how to go on toughpigs.com and look up keywords. I'm pretty good at that. Like I find it very interesting that Muppet Family Christmas, because like Muppet Christmas Carol obviously had the full theatrical release and had like a very big ad run, all of these things. It's become a holiday classic. As you described, Muppet Family Christmas had like maybe one VHS release, very limited. It's not like it was ever like a lost media thing, but it definitely was. I think it fell victim to like time in a way of like not people just really we're watching this thing, and it
Yeah.
fell so hard into the like forgotten Christmas special kind of vibe. And so I think that even in turn made it way more special and way more nostalgic and everything, because it feels like this like low-key forgotten Henson thing that was like probably one of the most beautiful things they ever did, but it doesn't get nearly the same love as the more popular Muppet goings-ons.
It's true. And even like compared to other holiday specials, like the Peanuts holiday special is shown multiple times every season. It's very accessible. The Grinch, the original Grinch cartoons, same thing. All the Rankin Bass, stop motion animated things. And so like there's obviously people love them. If they didn't love them, we wouldn't be watching them every year. But they're not as special as something where you're like, oh, I've got this thing. I've got this VHS tape. Like you could come over here. I'm gonna show you something that's really cool. But yeah,
Literally,
Rare
I
holiday.
I had such an experience recently with Muppet Family Christmas that really proved what you were just talking about, how it felt like a more special thing. So I live here in Seattle, and in one of our local theaters, SIFF, which is run by the Seattle International Film Festival, they do really amazing work and just like the film stuff here in Seattle. They're really great. They show Muppet Christmas Carol every year. But if you go an hour beforehand, they don't tell you what they're going to play. But the last few years, they've played Muppet Family Christmas as like a pre-show on the big screen, and it's
yeah,
like a magical experience seeing it on the big screen. But the point I want to make with this is that the theater packed up. People were there. They just kind of heard like there's a pre-show. They didn't hear like they're playing Muppet Family Christmas. I heard so many people in the audience of my theater being like, "What is this?" when it started. Like, I've never seen this. What is this? My friend who I went with was like, they're very misinformed on the Muppets. They're like, I didn't know Big Bird was Muppets. And I was like, I don't want to have to explain this to you right now. Just enjoy the special. But
but
like,
sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
everyone just had like throughout the special, as people started being like, what is this? I've never seen this. People were crying. People cheered and applauded at the end. It was like the most magical thing to me, where it was like nobody had really seen it because it's not as like it is
Yep.
accessible on YouTube, but it's not shown as frequently. People getting to see it, they loved it. It made me so happy.
Okay, so my favorite thing about watching Muppet Family Christmas with people who've never seen it or aren't really aware of like what it is the scene where Kermit says, "Hark, methinks me hears carolers,"
Hark.
and then they look out the window or look out the door frame, and the Sesame Street characters start marching in, and to see people go, "Oh my god!" Like they had no idea the Sesame Street characters were going to be showing up. And then when Big Bird comes out, it's like "Happy Holidays!" It's like it's the greatest moment in cinematic history. Seriously, it
It
is. Yeah,
like
like to see the Muppets surprise someone like that. You don't
It's
get that very
such a
often.
it's such a good thing of like I think Muppet Family Christmas is definitely like I would argue pretty much to people like us especially pretty much all Muppet projects are like good to watch by yourself, but there are a few that is like I've got to watch this with people. Muppet
Yeah,
Family Christmas I think is one of the main examples of a Muppet special that you've got to watch with good company.
yeah,
And last year, as a matter of talking about people being surprised by that sort of like shift, I watched it for the first time with my partner, Mikey, and he is somebody who he's very patient with me. He's the most patient man in the world because he's putting up with so many Muppet things constantly. He came to New York with me on a Muppet thing just because we were going to be able to spend time together, and he signed up for a whole New York Muppets weekend. So like he's into the Muppets sort of like by proxy, and he's gradually getting more and more into Muppets. But like me putting him onto things like Muppet Family Christmas was sort of the early days of um just showing him exactly how my brain works. And watching Muppet Family Christmas together last year was such a special time because he grew up on Sesame Street specifically. He was never super into the Muppets, but he, like a lot of American kids, grew up on Sesame Street. And he didn't know that they were going to be showing up. And we had to pause the movie for a good few minutes because he got so excited at seeing Big Bird, who is his favorite Muppets character, who is his favorite Muppet.
I
Um,
agree.
it's such like it as you said, Jared, such an unparalleled cinematic experience having somebody have it click that, oh my God, Sesame Street's going to be a part of this, and they stick around. It's genuinely such a beautiful moment. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Because
It's a
it
perfect
doesn't
special. It's
it
perfect.
doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a like corporate crossover. I mean, obviously this was at an era where everything was under the Henson umbrella and it
Hmm.
wasn't like separated and fractured off. But it doesn't feel like when you watch a different holiday special and it's like, wait a second, you're here in the holiday? No way. We're spending the
Yeah.
holiday together.
Yeah.
Urkel and Santa Claus? What?
Whoa, Bob
Fred
Saget saves
Flintstone
Christmas?
meet George Jetson.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Rob Lake meets the Muppets. Like I like every other like crossover Christmas specials, and not even just crossover Christmas specials, but Christmas specials in general. I don't think I've experienced one that hits as hard emotionally when the Sesame Street characters come in, when they go down to Fraggle Rock, when the Fraggle Rock characters come up at the end for the carol sing. It's like it's such a serendipitous, beautiful moment that like I really do think stretches beyond just being a huge Muppet fan. Because like I've watched this at the theater. I've watched this with friends. I force my friends every year to watch this with me. I basically like I have one. I asked for one present, and it's you guys watch a bunch of Muppet Christmas specials with me. And like, yeah, I've had so many experiences in real time of people not really being into the Muppets, not being aware of all of like the different like ways that these things like Sesame Street's that and Froggle Rock's in there and whatever. But just seeing like the magic and the like literal like spark, like I don't care if this sounds corny, the sparkle in people's eye when they watch this movie is undoubtedly beautiful and I love it.
I wanna yes and something that you said about about these crossovers, and I'm just thinking as you were talking about like why does this feel different? Because when this came out in the 80s, crossovers were pretty special. Like I said, Flintstones meet the Jetsons was pretty exciting. Just to see what happened. Urkel meets the Full House kids or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, like it was big. It was must see TV when that happened. There was a video that you may have seen called Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue. You guys aware of this?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Wait, okay. So this is a I think we didn't really do afternoon specials stuff over
Right.
here. Am
Yeah,
I
this is a very
so
American thing.
this
Yeah.
might seem like a bit of a daft question,
Yeah.
but is this the one like the cartoon All Stars to the Rescue? Is this the one where like Garfield and Muppet Babies Kermit are like trying to get you to like not smoke weed?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
So like
Looney Tunes,
their
Bugs
strategy.
Bunny, and
Yeah, everyone's
Garfield
there.
and the Muppets convince you to
Slimer
not
is there
smoke.
from the Ghostbusters. Like, yeah, the whole bit. And like it's amazing because all these animators came together, these companies, and like I think like several different networks all aired it at the same time. Like it had an introduction by the then president George Bush and Barbara Bush, and
Wait,
like it was a
what?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. This was like a big like we are gonna tell kids you're not gonna smoke, you're not gonna
This
have
is going to
you know,
stop underage smoking and drinking because
and it
Garfield's
worked.
going to tell them.
Garfield said so.
And kids
Okay,
Um,
love
broke.
arguing.
but
If
like
at an impressionable age, if like Kermit the Frog told me not to do something, it's
right.
working. Like,
And to be fair, it's baby Kermit, which is a little bit less exciting, but
well,
still.
oh, that's just guilting you. Like, you can't say
Yeah,
no to
right.
baby Kermit. Like, you can at least put up a bit of a fight with adult Kermit.
And
You
old
can go
Kermit
have
will
a back and
probably
forth with
smoke
him.
some shit. I'm saying old Kermit might hit the blunt. So like I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him.
So, but but now, you watch a superhero movie and we just expect there to be crossovers.
Hmm.
Like we oh, there's a new Spider-Man movie. How many Spider-Men from different universes are going to be in there? Like that kind of thing. So, the idea of a crossover back then, but now is, I mean, obviously it's completely out of control, but back then was a really special thing. And, um, but it was always like whiplash a little bit. It was a little bit of there's a cultural divide. Like, why is Garfield in the same cartoon as Baby Gonzo? Like, those things shouldn't be in the same universe, and yet we're cramming them together for the sake of this one thing. Muppet Family Christmas, I think it's right there in the title. Like, they're showing us it's not just the fact that they're all puppets. It's not just the fact that they're all owned by the Henson Company with the same performers and styles, et cetera, et cetera. It's they're literally from the same company. They share an origin. And excuse me, did I say company? I meant to say family. They're from the same family.
They're, they're from the
That
same
makes it more sense.
family.
You know, at this company, where I like to think we're all family. No,
After
they're all
people
the same family, and we're showing that, like, yeah, it's Kermit and his friends, from the Muppet Show, and they're all doing this Christmas thing. And then when the Sesame Street characters show up, it's like, oh right, their cousins are here, and then the Fraggle Rock characters, and it's like, oh yeah, their third cousins twice removed are here, and it's like, yeah, and then they all belong.
it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, no way Urkel showed up for Christmas dinner. This is crazy. It genuinely feels like, oh my God, these are Kermit's family. These are the Muppets.
Yes.
Like they are showing up for the holidays because like it's right there in the title. And it feels, I'm literally getting chills as we talk about this because it really beyond most Christmas specials, I do think Muppet Family Christmas succeeds in making it truly feel like a family. Like that's like, yeah, I think no other special can really achieve that to the level of Muppet Family Christmas.
I think like one of the key notes that I made about this special is that like yeah, it's kind of like obviously crossovers are sort of like quite jarring. I remember the big one when I was a kid, the one that kind of like rocked my world was that there was some kind of Christmas special between Fairly Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron. And it's one of those things where you have to execute it well, and it has to be executed with passion and without compromising either of the sort of like existing like materials don't like betray their characters or betray their vibes or anything. And I think one of the big reasons why Muppet Family Christmas works so well is because they all gel together so brilliantly. Like it doesn't feel like the Sesame Street gang are out of place. It doesn't feel like the Muppets are having to dumb themselves down to be able to share the screen with like children's entertainers. And like Fraggle Rock is so drastically different in vibe, but they all kind of they're all very symbiotic in the way that they complement each other really well. And the scene that I think really solidifies it, if you'll allow me a ramble, the scene that I think solidifies it as like the incredibly successful crossover
Wait, can I
is
guess before
when
you say it? Can I guess? Because I'm
oh
thinking,
okay, actually both I want both of you to guess now, and I want you to guess if you can think of the scene that I'm thinking of.
I think it's when Bert and Ernie meet Doc. Is that the
That's
one?
the one. That's
Damn
the
it!
Exactly what I
one.
was thinking.
That,
It's
Literally some of my
the
favorite Muppet
I was
dialogue,
gonna
dialogue
say
of
that.
the
anything.
conversation
One of
between
the
them is so perfect because it fits. Like Bert and Ernie coming in and doing their small talk about B words and all that, and Doc just completely like, well, I guess this is small talk. Like he's just accepting it because he's used to being on that side of the like, well, weird things are happening on the other side of the wall. Anyway, it's
Yeah.
perfect.
like it's such one of the reasons why that speaks so much volume to me as like one of the like seminal pieces of this special is because one of the things that like I love about Muppet Family Christmas is that like yeah, all the Sesame guys they know Kermit, but not everyone knows each other. It's like this really coming together of like extended families. Some people don't like the scene of Janice and Cookie Monster and Animal, where it's like, who was that strange creature? My kind of fella. It's Doc coming in not really knowing everyone, not really like but just getting it and accepting it and like being like I'm here within this family and for the holidays. It's like it spoke very like this scene speaks a lot of volume to me because it's like I have been at like Christmas dinners or Christmas parties, wherever, whether it be for like a friend or a partner, where it's like you don't really know their entire family. You don't really know their dynamics. But then you get there and people are lovely and accepting and nice and like bringing you into their festive traditions. And even if they're a little weird and stuff that you don't normally do, I think it's just beautiful that like Doc immediately is just like, this is small talk. All right, this is who I'm with for the holidays, I guess. This is great.
I think
Totally.
the sort of like the key of the heart of the special is how Doc kind of starts off as like a straight man type character. Like
Mhm.
he is being subjected to the chaos of the Muppets, but by the time that the special is finished, he might as well be a Muppet. Like he
He's
is just
still
fully
funk bit.
he is not swimming against this current. He is like fucking fine, I guess. I will
Yeah.
I will be a part of this Christmas.
Well, and like the real key here, and I think it's easy to say like, oh, they all work together because of Jim Henson or because they're all puppets or whatever it is. But really, it comes down to Jerry Juhl as the
Yes.
writer, because Jerry Juhl is like the one guy who had a heavy hand in writing for all three of these big properties. And he probably had it in his brain of like, I know exactly what would happen if Bert and Ernie met Doc. I know exactly what would happen if Janice had an interaction with Cookie Monster. Um, and to the point where like I kind of wish that there were more character crossovers, like more of the Fraggles in the house, or more of like I always think about the scene where at the very end where uh, uh, Ma Bear says like, "Oh, two of you are gonna have to sleep on hangers," and the two characters that are both on hangers are both Muppet Show characters. I'm like, oh, what a great opportunity! Why wasn't it Grover instead of Gonzo? Like that kind of thing of
That's
like
literally what I was
like
about to
why
say.
weren't they looking for every single opportunity to like find ways to do like we would never be able to do this on any other show, and we were going to put these two characters in the same frame on our screen.
And I think like I absolutely like not only agree with everything you're saying, but part of the special that is so like incredible to me and like what hits so emotionally is like, yeah, all of the moments where even if it's brief, even if it's not like the most like intense big interaction, just seeing these characters together on screen in a way that it's coming together out of love and pure like respect for all of these properties, respect and love for everything. You can feel it pouring with love in every ounce. Like when I'm watching it and I see Gonzo getting into it with the turkey, and I just see like Elmo chilling on the steps.
Yes,
It's just
yes,
like it speaks so much volume. Not to like go on a different tangent, but like it speaks a lot of volume to me at the era that we were in with Henson. That like it's like Elmo was established with the voice, but not like enough. It wasn't Elmo hadn't become this giant thing. It feels like Muppet Family Christmas was like the last like before everything changed. And it's just such a beautiful time capsule, but
yeah.
also very emotional because of that.
Anthony Strand talks a lot about this is his observation, not mine. That Muppet Family Christmas feels like the grand finale. Like if you were watching every Muppet thing and you decided to stop here, it's not a bad choice. Not because there's not great stuff that comes after Muppet Family Christmas, but it feels like a culmination of everything. We did the crossover. We're saying, and it's one of the last things that Jim Henson worked on with in terms of Muppets. It's Jerry Juhl delivering one of the greatest things, like the greatest things that he ever wrote. Um, yeah, it's just yeah, like and then at the end, like you're seeing all these characters that you love looking directly into the camera and saying, happy holidays and goodbye. There are worse ways to go out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you talk about it being one of the best things that Jerry Juhl ever wrote, that's already a pretty high bar. When
Yeah.
you look at the rest of his resume, you've got a pretty like that's a pretty hefty task to outdo that.
And
But
and you
I
know why I say that too is not just because I love the special so much. It's every second of this special is quotable.
Yes.
Every single okay, so years ago, when before Tough Pigs had a Discord, we had a forum. And in the days when it was a lot more active because people would go on forums back then, we someone started a thread that was just like a Muppet Family Christmas Love Fest, something like that. And one of the first comments on there was a quote from the movie, and then the second one was a quote from the movie. And that thing, just when you think like there couldn't be another like interesting, notable, funny, heartfelt quote from this movie, it just kept on going and going and going. Hundreds of posts in this thread, and it just goes to show like you think about any scene from this movie, you could probably quote it verbatim because of those like the dialogue is so sharp and so memorable. It truly is like a grand opus of
Like,
Jerry Juhl's work.
absolutely. Like I think that was so well articulated on like just the entirety of Jerry Juhl. I think you nailed it, and I would add to that by saying that like this everything is like all the characters are just so on point with their interactions where it really feels like the most Bert and Ernie like when they talk to Doc and they do the whole thing where it's like, hey, this is just small talk. I'm like that small line to me speaks so much volumes onto like the entirety of what Jerry Juhl contributed as like the lead Sesame writer and everything like that. It's like it's these little lines that are able to speak so much to the entirety of the Muppets. And I think that's what's so beautiful about the special is because every time, every minute, every piece of dialogue is making you like emotional about these kind of like bigger things and how these things interact with the entirety of the Muppets. It's just like, oh, every line moves the story along and is quotable and is emotional and gives you perspective on everything else. It's Jerry Juhl's, in my opinion, seminal work.
Well, it's kind of really interesting in the way that you like obviously said it sort of encapsulates the Muppets. It surprisingly does a lot of world building. I feel like it's the one that definitely immerses you in like this because like obviously like we live in a world where Muppets are real, they are real human celebrities. But like in this world that they also live in, it really like fleshes it out because you get an understanding of like how these characters are when they're outside of their sort of entertainer roles as
Mm.
well. Like even just Ma Bear being friends with Statler and Waldorf is so funny. Like like why is she like hanging out with like her son's biggest haters? And but just like it they needed a reason to be there and it works. And having them be so interconnected with Sesame Street and having like Fraggle Halls being a thing that they can just go down, it does so much to really establish this as a world that they all live in and they all inhabit.
Yeah. And
I
like,
oh Go
I'm
for it.
sorry to interrupt, but like,
No, no.
we're talking about three very well established worlds. And what's interesting to me about this, and this is something I think about a lot because this is how my brain works, is the idea of Muppet continuity, which should not and you pretty much does not exist. However, I will argue that it does. And we'll get to the Muppets last, but like Fraggle Rock, obviously extremely well thought out from day one. We know exactly what Fraggle Rock is. You know, we understand that like there's magic that will change the rules about things, but like we know what Fraggle Rock is. And because this took place after the end of the Fraggle Rock series, we also know that like this whole you cannot leave the magic idea is that like there is a Fraggle hole, you know, in every basement, and it connects all of Fraggle Rock, and they can be there even though that you know where Doc's workshop was certainly not in the same place where the farmhouse is. If it was, then why would he be renting the farmhouse? But Sesame Street also extremely well thought out. We know exactly what where Sesame Street is, how Sesame Street works. The Muppets, the Muppet Show characters, you know, we talk about how like okay did they all go to college together, did they meet on this road trip, did they you know are like what's their deal, do they have a stage show or do they have a movie theater or a movie studio, whatever. And like truth be told, it's like 9 times out of 10 the answer is oh that's just a project that they were working on, they were actors in a thing. And the other stuff, it's like for the most part you can kind of track it, you know, it's hard to track Muppets Take Manhattan in there, but you know, this idea of like they met on this road trip that Kermit took, and like we kind of saw approximately how it happened. So that's not
Hmm.
you know canon necessarily what we saw in the Muppet movie. And then they put like they ended with they're putting on this new show called the Muppet Show, and all these things that come afterward are we do a show together called the Muppet Show, and then we also go out on these adventures. And this is the all of our friends from the Muppet Theater are getting together for the holidays. You know, I don't know, maybe the Muppet Theater's in Hollywood now. That's why Ma Bear says, "Oh, they're from or they're from television. Or their
Hmm.
show's televised, whatever it is." And but like it all fits. And so you've got this world building that was kind of secretly happening unintentionally from Jim and Jerry Juhl, of like who these characters are and how they would work outside of the world of the Muppet Show and the Muppet films.
I literally am so happy that you brought up the Muppet continuity stuff and all the things you just said, because that is something that has been firing in my brain every time I watch this special. And to me, not to go on like a complete like rant here, if y'all will indulge me,
Rant, do
I
it.
think in talking about Muppet continuity, you know, as you said, Sesame Street extremely established, Fraggle Rock extremely established on like where it's at, where the world is, how that all works. And Muppet Show, a little more like up in the air. They're actors in a lot of projects, all that. I think this special not only proves like some Muppet continuity, but I think it proves exactly the location of everything in the sense of like, I think Muppet theater and all the Muppet goings ons of the Muppet Show are in New York. I just think they are in New York, and the Muppet Family Christmas takes place in upstate New York. I think that the reason the Fraggle Hole they're able to get there is because like Toronto, not that far over the border, like straight up not that far. I think a Fraggle Hole could be connected pretty close in that regard. Sesame Street, it's not absurd for them to just like get up to the freaking Catskills or whatever. Like easy for
Yeah.
them. And for me, what proves it that they're not only in New York and like they're based out of like that going on, Piggy is shopping and like they don't say what the city is, but she's hailing a taxi. She's around
Mm.
all of these like big Art Deco buildings. It's like to me, they live in New York City. They have like a shitty off-Broadway theater that Scooter's uncle like helps them with because it doesn't like to me, I've always felt like the like making it the grand theater in Muppets 2011 always felt a little off to me in the sense that I've always felt the Muppet theater, while probably nice on the inside, is this shitty little off-Broadway thing. And like to me, Piggy being in that city, her hailing a cab to get up there, Toronto being so close, Muppet like Sesame
Yep.
Street, to me, I think this is just proof that Kermit like either lives on Sesame Street and like or that doesn't work with those dudes anymore, but it's still really close. I think they're all in New York or like very close, and I think this special takes place in yeah, I think it takes place in the freaking the woods of New York.
I have two observations I want to make in response to this. One is I wrote an article a few years ago putting out the theory that the Muppet Theater is a Fraggle Hole. And you can go read this article for my whole argument, but like this idea of like the Muppet Theater moves and like
Mm.
that's how I don't remember every detail of what I wrote off the top of my head, but like it kind of makes a lot of things make sense because of that. Um, but I do love the idea of them all living in New York, especially because like yeah, Kermit like has an apartment on Sesame Street. That makes sense. We just don't see him on TV, like that. I get it. Um, uh, Miss Piggy hailing a cab though that actually kind of cements it for me. However, again, Anthony Strand's observation, I am borrowing it from him, but giving him credit here. He tells me that Muppet Family Christmas, the Bear Family Farm, is in Minneapolis, St. Paul area of Minnesota. Here's why. Two reasons. Number one, Jerry Juhl is from that area. I visited Anthony a few years ago, and somehow Anthony found the address of Jerry Juhl's childhood home, and we went there just to take a picture outside. We didn't like knock on the door or anything.
Yeah.
That would be weird. It was weird enough that we did it to begin with.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so Jerry Juhl's from that area. So we think like writing it, he probably had that in mind. The other thing, which actually kind of cements it a little bit, is when it's snowing really hard in the special, Ma Bear says something along the lines of like, "Oh, this is the worst blizzard since the storm of whatever year,
Yeah.
1942 or something." I don't remember what year she says. There was a blizzard in like a devastating blizzard in Minneapolis area in that year. That's like for generations people would talk about like, "Oh yeah, the blizzard of 42." Again, I
Yeah.
don't remember the exact year. So could have been just a line of dialogue that Jerry had in mind because that's something that he would say as a younger person. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea that Jerry Juhl was like, yeah, it's just, down the street from where I grew up.
I
That's
love
so
Jerry. I would become a Muppet writer just to have one of the Muppets be like my down the road neighbor. Honestly, if
yeah.
Right?
I would work for years to establish like Sweetums. Oh yeah, he lives just down the street. I would
I
build
love that.
so much world just to be like, yeah, that one's my neighbor. That one that I like.
Yeah. And what you're doing really is you're creating this connection to reality for the characters. This thing of like this idea of you could be walking around New York City, you could turn a corner and boom, you're on Sesame Street. Like that is a concept that's in all of our minds because like it's so real to us. Or you could go to that off Broadway theater where they do the Muppet Show, and you could be one of those people sitting in the audience for their show. There's something so real about it, and so by creating these kinds of stories, like Ma Bear's farm is in Minneapolis, and like okay, sure, maybe not. I don't know. Like that's not it's not confirmed or anything like that. But if it was, then it's like yeah, you could go to Minneapolis. You could hail a cab in the city where Miss Piggy was having her photo shoot, and then you could find yourself at that farm where you could go and see the bunk beds that Doc built. You know,
I think we're gonna have to dip into the Muppet Moment budget and arrange a field trip to the Midwest, perchance.
just to
Mhm.
Um,
wander the farmland of
just just
Minnesota.
to just to see if it's nearby, just to knock on everybody's door and be like, "Where's Ma Bear live? I know it's around here."
Jerry Juhl's childhood home.
Nobody around here wants to tell me. They want to gatekeep it, but I know she's here somewhere.
We don't gatekeep in this community. We don't
We
do
just
it.
said
No,
No, yeah,
it's the Minneapolis, it's the Minneapolisans, it's
that. The Minneapolites.
the
Minnetontians,
Minneapolites. You,
Minneapolis.
What is so
your
gross?
name location names are too long out in the States. We need to change.
Ah, dude, what I find so grounding and so beautiful about this special is like, yeah, it feels like a real reality of like, hey, they're just up at the farm. Like they're just chilling, they're up at the farm, pretty easy for them to get to. But like the way the way this special starts, I feel like they frame it very much as like, oh my gosh, the Muppets are gonna cause all this chaos here. Ma Bear doesn't get to go on her holiday. Like, what is gonna happen? And it just turns into this just sweet, beautiful thing where everyone's getting along, where everyone is just like the moment of switch where Ma Bear is talking to Doc and about like, either we're gonna have to build some bunk beds or something, and he's just like, let me get some wood, let's go get some bunk
Oh yeah.
beds. Like
Well,
it's moments like that throughout the special where it's like, as I think Will brought up earlier, that it was like, you think Doc's gonna be the straight man and just be like, ugh, all this chaos. You think Ma is gonna be pissed the whole time, but it's like, no, everyone. It's just, it's beautiful, beautiful.
and isn't it just such like a I was gonna say Midwest mom, but I think this is probably true for. I'm guessing this is true for all of us. We're all spread out over this planet. Is for most people, I should say, is that like if I showed up at my mom's house and she was not expecting me and all of my friends, like she'd probably be like, "Well, not exactly convenient, but I got to be the mom. So okay, let's make sure
Yeah.
everyone's got a place to sleep and make sure everyone's fed and everyone's comfortable for the holidays and et cetera, et cetera." So like the scene at the beginning where Ma Bear is like, yeah, like 6 months of surfing lessons for Zip. Like she gets a moment to be like, well, I'm a little pissed about it. Anyway, let's get all your friends in here. Like like she's gonna be the mom first. And what's interesting too is we don't know much about Ma Bear before this. Like we've seen her maybe once or twice in Muppet history before we get to this special. And you get the idea right away that not only is she that kind of mom that I just described, but it says so much about why Fozzie is the way he is. Fozzie at his core is he just wants to be loved. He just wants to be appreciated. And he grew up a kind of a mama's boy. Like he had this mom who supported everything he did. She showered him with love, 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 no matter what, even though he probably wasn't very good at what he was doing. And so when he's like, well, obviously I'm hysterical. My mom thinks I'm funny. I'm gonna go out to Hollywood and I'm gonna make it big as a comedian. And then he gets there and he doesn't get that because not everyone is his mom. And then like just kind of desperately looking for that same kind of satisfaction, which also makes sense for like why he's like, so we're all gonna go to my mom's house because she's the one who gets it. She's the one who thinks I'm funny.
And it's like it speaks so much volumes to like the whole, like they frame Emily Bear so well where she's like so supportive but she's still kind of like, oh yeah, like the lizard, like she doesn't get it fully, she doesn't get it, but she's still supportive. And it's like, yeah, Ma Bear so fleshed out. And then like you get Ma Bear in things like Muppets Go to Walt Disney World, where she is such a realized character, where it feels like she's been around this whole fucking time, but she's
Absolutely.
really only been around for like a few years at that point, and or like more frequently used at that point. Um, I there's so much about Ma Bear that I love with this, like her being friends with Statler and Waldorf. Like I get it's like a funny joke. It low key makes sense. It low key, like there's a part of me
Tell
that's
me
just
why. Why does this make sense to you?
there's a part of me that feels like she doesn't like, because in the way she doesn't really get with Kermit, like I don't even really understand what's going on, all these weirdos, whatever. I To me, I feel like she'd just be like, Fozzie, come on. Like they're just being funny. They're just being funny too. And this is just like some weird shit going on, man. So like it's okay.
It doesn't like with Statler and Waldorf, it doesn't really feel malicious even the way that they mock
Yeah.
Fozzie. It's just like it's just kind of like muscle memory that they like have to heckle. Like if they really like despised Fozzie and despised the Muppet Show, they wouldn't keep turning up. And they wouldn't go to all the functions. They wouldn't go to the 2011 revival. If they truly despised the Muppet Show, on a deep level, they kind of need the show. And I think them being friends with Emily really works because it's like honestly like they just want to queen out. And I think Emily is somebody that they can just queen out with.
There's so much, there's so many possibilities of what this could actually mean. I mean, obviously, we're looking in this way deeper than we need to because it probably means nothing. But like you could be seeing Statler and Waldorf as like Kermit talks about them and being like, well, they're members of the family. We got to bring the old coots along, that kind of thing. And like, yeah, they're gonna be kind of mean, but like, don't we all have that surly uncle, at our Thanksgiving
Yeah.
table? But there's also the possibility that like they're just bullies, and like they were like, wouldn't it be hysterical if we made friends with Fozzie's mom and like spent years building up this trust where she's inviting us over for Christmas every year, and then when
Bit.
Fozzie shows up, we're like, sucker, gotcha.
Long
Just like
game.
wouldn't this be the most insane, just like long term payoff bit if we spent
Yes,
years befriending this very kind, sweet woman so we
yeah.
can rip her son a new one on Christmas Eve? Wouldn't that be fucking great? Let's invest a not normal amount of time in making this work because it's gonna be great when it happens.
I wrote an article for Tough Pigs a few years ago. I think it was called "Why Do They Always Come Here?" And it was the question of like why do Statler and Waldorf still show up? And there were all weird theories, like but my favorite of them, which is the weirdest one that doesn't make a lick of sense, but I kind of love it and I think about it a lot, is Statler is secretly Fozzie's dad.
Ah,
Hear me out. And like it's specifically Statler and not Waldorf because of there was an episode of the 2015 Muppets sitcom where Fozzie accidentally, like, I think he hits Statler with a t-shirt cannon,
yes.
and
That's one
then
of my favorites.
and like he has to go visit him in the hospital. So like there's a connection between the two of them that's like almost respect and then it's not. And so he's this like absentee father, like the Fozzie does not know he's his dad, and like desperately wants some approval from him, and Statler and Waldorf like kind of have this huge resentment against him, but they also keep showing up to support him, and like that also explains why they're hanging out with Emily Bear on Christmas. They're lovers.
I am gagged.
I
I'm
love it. I believe
fucking gagged.
I'm choosing to believe that 100%.
Head
I
canon.
That is canon.
Okay, it's
oh
head
my
canon.
God. That's
That is that is now official Muppet canon. I'm
you
Great. Okay, it's official. Yeah,
you've
we
just
called it.
changed my world. You've
Right?
realigned some of the wires in my brain. That is a theory and a half. Honestly,
like
I was
It's
just gonna
something,
say
all
that
right.
honestly like with Statler and Waldorf, the excuse that I've always given them is we've all got something that we love to hate watch.
That's
I
true.
hate watch stuff. I hate watched all of the Haunted Mansion movies this year just so I could do a real breakdown on Muppet Haunted Mansion for the Muppet Moment podcast.
Yeah,
Um,
hey, that's important work. I thought about
it's
doing that when Muppet Haunted Mansion came out, and then I think I watched the Eddie Murphy one, and I was like, I gotta take a break.
yeah, they're
and you would be
But
so
yeah,
right too.
but we started this conversation talking about Mr. Willoughby and Lady Gaga, and like it's not like I watched these and went, oh, they're not very good. I'll never watch them again. Like they're still in the rotation because they're Muppet things.
yes.
I unironically love A Special Sesame Street Christmas. Have you guys seen that one?
Yes, I do too. I really like it. I'll
Now, it is terrible. It is maybe the worst thing that Sesame Street has ever made.
Yes.
However, it is so bad. You just have to it's like poking a sore tooth with your tongue and you just can't stop doing it.
Absolutely.
It's great.
I will say that I feel the exact same way of it. Unfortunately, Max is the Sesame head of the podcast. I have not been bitten by the bug yet, but they're doing their damn best. Um, the thing that I feel that in particular for me is a different festive Henson special. It is a required reading for me every single Christmas to watch probably one of the worst Christmas specials ever put to film that is so dear to me and I hold so close to my heart. A very merry Muppet Christmas movie. It is it I'm not gonna go on a ramble about it because quite frankly we're saving that for next year for another festive episode.
Got a lot more
Because
to say about
quite
Christmas.
frankly, there's so much to talk about that special that we can't fill just
Totally.
like a sidebar in Muppet Family Christmas episode. But oh my God, I hold that so close to my heart. It's abhorrent.
Uh-huh.
It is a mess, and it is so special to me. But
Isn't it
honestly,
just
like the
weird?
thing about Muppet Family Christmas is that you don't even have to feel any guilt when you watch it because it's just like it's just cinema. It's
There's
just
nothing bad
gorgeous.
about it. There's
Yeah,
definitely
No,
nothing bad about it. There's certainly nothing like so bad it's good about it, like some of these other
no,
specials.
nobody has to hear me out about Muppet Family Christmas. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, you heard and listening.
yeah, right. Yeah, we're on
Yeah.
board. Isn't it weird? If you look at all the Muppet holiday specials and episodes and movies and etc., there's a pretty big divide between the good ones and the bad ones. Like it
absolutely.
is like Muppet Family Christmas, Emmett Otter, Sesame Christmas Eve on Sesame Street, Christmas Carol. Like that stuff is all on the top end, no doubt about it. They're friggin' brilliant. And then you've
S
got
tier.
Mr. Willoughby, Lady Gaga, Very Merry Muppet Christmas. Even sorry, like the John Denver and the Muppets special.
Yes.
Like they're not good.
Really? I haven't. Okay,
It's very boring.
John Denver is not like wasn't huge over here by my recollection. I do have the album on vinyl, which is really
Yep,
embarrassing because I
great
haven't watched
album.
the
Good
special.
album.
Great album. And the songs, most of the songs are great. I mean, you really you should do a whole episode about this one too.
Mm.
It's so I got my hands on like the version that's on YouTube is pretty poor quality. That's the version I always had access to. And a couple years ago, someone gave me like a really high quality version, and it's like, oh, for the first time I'm seeing this, and it's like crystal clear. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to watch it by myself. I'm going to bring it with me when I see my family, and I'm going to watch it with the family, with the kids, my nieces and nephew. And so we all sit down to watch this Muppet thing. We've done this year after year with different Muppet specials because I'm educating them like a good uncle should. And
Doing
one
your
by
duty.
one, like throughout the special, everyone just kind of quietly leaves the room. And I realized about halfway through, I am literally alone in the living room watching this thing by myself.
The
Nobody wanted to see
opposite.
this thing.
Just
It is
absolutely checked out. They were
bad.
not there for Johnny and the Muppets.
Muppet Family Christmas is everyone coming together. John Denver and the Muppets is being alone in your room.
Get
Like
over
that
it.
was.
And you know what? That's a strategy.
Sat
Not everyone
alone.
wants to be around a ton
I
of people
think
for Christmas.
I think what's like the quality and drop, like the quality drop off for a lot of these like Muppet projects, Christmas wise. I think what was really special. I think Henson really took Christmas specials so seriously from the start, like from like Great Santa Claus Switch
Mm.
all the way through up until like Christmas Carol and all of these things. I think there was this level of people within the Henson company just being like Christmas specials are very important and something that we will take seriously. And then I think there must have been some shift in the mentality, Henson passing or something, because after Christmas Carol, the drop off is insane. Like it is an insane drop off in quality. And like not to just like throw us onto a million different tangents, a million different rants. We were talking about Ma Bear. We were talking about Fozzie. We were talking about Statler and Waldorf. I just want to say Fozzie is firing on all cylinders in this special. Like this is one of my favorite Fozzie things. Everything with the snowman, every interaction with Kermit, everything. It's just like this special is so every Muppet is. I think it goes back to Jerry Juhl's like incredible writing for this. Every Muppet is just portrayed so well and just fully their personality throughout the whole way. And it feels so good to see all the Muppets truly in their personality before different corporate hands reached in, before any flanderization. It's just like one of the last pure, like all of these characters in their truest form.
I have a question for all three of us. I
Oh
don't have an
goodness.
answer to this, but let's see if I can come up with something
Goodness
while
me.
we're talking. We're talking about how great the special is. It really is
Mhm.
perfect. So much amazing stuff
Mhm.
throughout. What is the either the one bad part of the special or a part of the special that you think could be improved upon?
That is a really good
And I'm
question.
going to be honest, I'm struggling to think of anything, which is
I'm
good.
very like I am very much struggling. Like I think you brought up a point earlier about like maybe the Fraggles could have like done more and like the
Yeah.
Christmas sing
Yeah.
like the carol sing, but that's
I
not
mean,
like a that doesn't take away from the special.
no, no, no. Of course not. Well, I'll say this about that is, when the Fraggles show up behind Doc during the carol sing, traveling Matt is there too.
Yes.
So, which I love. I love that he has a cameo here, just like his little cameo in Muppet Take Manhattan. And I would love to have seen him do something else in the
Hmm.
special. Now, I'm not saying it's better or it wouldn't necessarily be better if he did. It's kind of amazing that he just has that one little silent cameo. Um, yeah, I don't know. What can you think of anything else that might be?
I would have loved to see more interaction between Oscar and Rizzo because
Oh
that
yeah,
one line of them like, "Hey, I've never had a rat in my trash can. Could be pretty nice." Like Rizzo coming in with the New York accent, Oscar kind of mimicking the like kind of pissed off New Yorker vibe. It was like there was a lot of character actions within this. I know it's only like a 44-minute runtime. They've got a lot to cram in and like so many puppets in this thing. It just it's there's a lot. My one not like criticism, but my one thing that I wish they did more was just I wish I had more extended character interactions.
yeah.
Like I wish I could have seen Big Bird talk to more of the Sesame guys. I know he was on Sesame. I knew he was on the
I was
Muppet
gonna
Show.
say I've got a show that you that you would love. You want to
Hey,
see
go
Big Bird
on,
interact with
Sesame
the
guys.
Sesame Street? Let me
Like
put
I
you
would have
onto something
loved
that's gonna change your life.
I love that like Robin and Kermit have this interaction with the Fraggles. Like I think that's so cool. And like but Grover goes like this Fraggle Pebble is for me. I would have loved some like Grover got to know the Fraggles. And it's like in that
Yeah.
line speaks to being like, oh my God, there's probably so many interactions where they know each other and know each other's business. And it's like I would have loved to see all of that.
Yeah, not to be massively unoriginal and just like give such a nothing burger answer, but it is like my biggest problem with the special is that there's not more of some elements. It's not like a it's not and it's not even to say like the special suffered for not having these things because it's already a 10 on its own. But
Yeah.
like it could have been an 11 if the Fraggles were just a little more present or if it's just like the special is so crammed full of good stuff. The only thing that could have made it better is more of the good stuff.
Yeah, and the one thing that I'm thinking of to add to this conversation, which is really just repeating what you guys are saying about the idea of there being more.
Hmm.
I understand they have a finite amount of space. However, how cool would it have been if Snuffy and Sweetums were also there?
Oh, oh my
Now,
God.
here's the other interesting thing. Here's an
I'm
observation that's
ashamed of
coming out of left
myself.
field. There's a huge gap for Sweetums specifically. We do get Sweetums in Muppet Vision 3D, but aside from that, he's not really around in the 80s. He's
Oh,
not
he's not
really
in
around
Christmas
in the
Carol.
90s because he's not. I mean, I guess we get him in Muppet Treasure Island. That's the next thing.
Well, he
He's not in
wasn't in
Muppet
Christmas
Christmas
Carol,
Carol,
I think, because like there weren't really any Richard characters in Christmas Carol, just because it was
Yeah.
a little bit too soon.
but he's being played by John Henson at this point already, doesn't he? Maybe not. Maybe not.
Oh wait,
Actually,
no
I don't
wait,
know.
yeah, John made his debut
Oh.
in Treasure Island, I want to say.
I think at that point, Richard had
Okay,
already fully stepped back from being in the full body suit as well.
that's
Mm.
true. Yeah, but even
Like,
so, like we don't need, So the scene where I can picture him where like, they wouldn't need any dialogue would be at Fozziwig's, where he's at the party, he's doing something else. And I might be thinking that because there's I don't know if you've seen the Muppet Christmas Carol storybook that came out a few years ago by Luke Flowers. He shared some of his original sketches with me, and one of them was that he had put Sweetums in that scene just for fun, and then he was told to take it out because Sweetums was not in the movie, which I think is
Down the
crazy
Sweetums
based,
erasure.
right?
Freedom erasure.
Don't do my boy like that. That's foul work. That is nasty work.
Yeah.
You have put the seed of Sweetums in Muppet Christmas Carol in my head now, and I'm actually ashamed that that wasn't my answer.
Oh.
Um, Yeah,
I
Sweetums is like a top five Muppet for me, and he has because of how much like heart he has, and thinking
Yeah.
about him like interacting with like even more of like the smaller Muppets or him hanging out with the Fraggles, and maybe
Yeah.
even them like thinking, oh my God, you guys have Gorgs? That's crazy, and it's like no, it's just
Imagine Sweetums like cramped in the cave with the
Aw,
Fraggles, like just hitting his head on the ceiling. I, so
you're pretty big. This is my friend Sweetums. Like that
here's
would
the
have
other
been
thing about
fun.
Sweetums and those big Muppet
driving me
monsters is
insane.
they create such a beautiful picture for the eye when you see a big group of characters. So like when we have the carol sing, we've got this sea of Muppets, and like you got to put them on chairs and couches and probably invisible boxes and stuff like that to kind of fill the top half of the screen. But when you've got Sweetums and Fog and even Big Bird, like automatically it fills it up. I think about this a lot when we're watching Fraggle Rock because Fraggle Back to the Rock especially will do a lot of we want there to be 30 characters that are singing, but all the characters only go so high on the bottom of the screen. So you really got to get creative of like where else are you putting them to make sure that it's not just like you're looking at where the subtitles go. Um, so it would have been cool to like also there's also a couple of the old storybooks. I'm struggling to remember which one it is. But there's one where that I remember I had when I was a kid, where the Muppets are I think they're going to a haunted house or something. It may have been just a like a little story in one of the
Like a haunted
collections or the
mansion.
Muppet magazine or something. And there's a like I'm picturing them like they're all like in the van and like Sweetums and Thog are like hanging off the side and like every picture where you've got like the whole Muppet group and you've got these huge characters with them, it paints such a beautiful picture. So I love when they include them for that reason. But I totally get why they're not there. I get it probably wouldn't have been safe because
Yeah.
like even picturing like Big Bird in the kitchen with the Swedish chef,
Mm.
it's like we know that there's holes in the ground. Like, how does Carol Spinney not break his neck when they're filming
That
that thing? No idea.
freaking scene where they're all doing the carol sing and they have like the sea of Muppets as you described. Big Bird is crammed in there.
Crammed.
Like literally, it's like I am very tall. I can relate to that. Like just like looking so big and looking so like out of place. Because like Big Bird, I also want to say it since we brought up Big Bird, like Carol Spinney in this special, so beautiful. Like, I mean,
Beautiful.
I not to like obviously I don't know, like I can't speak on the entirety of Carol Spinney and his relationship with the other Muppet performers. But in reading the book Funny Boy, the Richard Hunt autobiography, there's a section in there, not to spoil the book, but there's a section in there where it's described that Richard felt like, there was a big period where he felt like no one appreciates what I'm doing. Like everyone, all the love kind of goes to Jim and Frank. And I have been involved in these things for like 20 something, 30 years at this point. Like, I like, whereas Richard Hunt was feeling so like lost within that. But Muppet Family Christmas was the moment where he felt like, oh, I am part of this big giant thing. I am part of this big family of performers. And this is like it describes in the book that having everyone come together really was like affirming for Richard in a way that like he hadn't felt before. And I would probably venture to say that I would hope that Carol Spinney got that kind of same feeling within this because like seeing those scenes of Carol Spinney as Big Bird with the Swedish chef doing all of these scenes throughout the whole thing, you can just it goes so beyond just like to me a normal Big Bird performance. It's just you can feel the love, you can feel everything so palpably, and that I think this is one of the best Big Bird moments, I think.
Well, they kind of really ironed out the best way to have Big Bird interact with the Muppets. I think Big Bird as like a Sesame Street character is one of the like the most geared up to be able to collaborate with the Muppets. Because obviously they had him in a whole episode of the Muppet Show, and which is one of my favorite guest stars, I think, is Big Bird. Because they really it was it kind of read as like a launching platform for projects like Muppet Family Christmas because here's how we can blend these two very different shows together without betraying the sensibilities of either one of them because like Big Bird wasn't out of character as Big Bird, but the Muppets didn't have to like like dumb themselves down, not to use that term again, but to not like desaturate themselves in order to
Yep.
be sort of like more fitting to like the audience of like Sesame Street. And so I think that Big Bird's always been, and even him appearing in the Muppet movie, just like for a little 2 seconds, Big Bird's kind of always been the launching pad for the bridge between the Muppets and Sesame Street.
Yeah,
And
that's a good
I
point. Yeah. Although I do find it interesting thinking about not so much the Muppet movie cameo, but the Muppet Show episode and this, how Big Bird ends up kind of getting involved in something where like nowadays it's like I can't he would never let that fly. Muppet Show where Gonzo is in love with this bird like
Oh.
that's an age thing.
they're
Here,
huge.
the Swedish chef wants to eat him. He wants to cook and eat Big Bird. And like it's hysterical, don't get me wrong. Like I
That's
don't think it
peak.
breaks any universe at all, but like, for a preschool character, for kids who are watching this who can potentially see the, what they're what's going on, like that's a little bit adult, just a smidge adult.
I
But
would say like I what was really cool to me about this special is that like as Will brought up this point about how it didn't like betray any of the source material where each section of the Henson world was really being themselves fully. And it's like when I was in the theater at watching Muppet Family Christmas, uh that we got to that scene of Swedish Chef wanting to cook and eat Big Bird, and I there was like a kid a few rows in front of me that was like, no, with like
that
with
was
the
me.
He was
yeah,
right.
and it's like that that to me is like, yeah, that would not happen nowadays. Like nowadays Henson things are so separated, so fragmented that like, and there's so many corporate ties that it's like you can't like risk, either you can't risk your characters saying these things or being in these positions, or like, yeah, it speaks a lot of volumes to the era that we were in, that like Henson could do that because it's like these are all of my guys. These are my guys. I can show Big Bird almost getting cooked and eaten. Like
Right.
these are my
I
boys.
mean, that's the great thing about there being a company that owns these characters where it's just one person, one creative mind at the top to make these calls. Um, Even now, like looking at say like the Henson Company, which is still family run, they dictate what the Fraggles can and can't do. They actually do, I would argue, a very good job of making sure the characters stay in universe and et cetera, et cetera. But like, it's not just a person. Like, there's a whole committee of Hensons and stakeholders, and it would be nice if it was just one person. I mean, look, I've worked at Sesame. I've worked with people at Disney. About with in terms of what their characters can and can't do. And more often than not, the answer is, well, gee whiz, we don't know if that's a thing that would work, so we're just going to say no. And it's like, well, if Jim were here, he would have been like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I got the vision. I can see it. Move forward. It'll work.
Hmm.
Trust me. Boom.
It's it's the
It's
kind of thing where it was like what Max called it earlier is a time capsule, and I think that's incredibly apt of a way to refer to it because it's definitely like it I kind of consider peak Muppets in my opinion to be the 1980s. I think the early to late 1980s was when the Muppets were at their absolute peak. And I think the Muppet Family Christmas does a really good job of kind of encapsulating just like this role that they were on, where they had found their foot with the Muppet Show, and they had started to delve a little bit more into sort of like Hollywood stuff. They were starting to take Sesame Street like already on their like hot streak and take it in some slightly new directions, like obviously with like the impending Elmo on the horizon, and like that was like a big shift for the show. But I really do think that the Muppets at their peak were in the 80s. And in the 80s, I think like the whole like being able to cook and eat Big Bird, and there was this turkey character who's like the implication was like this guy was brought here to die.
yeah.
This guy was brought here to be killed.
Yep.
Um, it's like there is, and like this can be for a whole other episode, but there is something about like the sanitization of like children's media and like educational media nowadays that like kind of would prevent something like that to feature characters in in children's media like this. And yeah, there are still children's media that are kind of pushing the boundaries of what can be what can be got across and what can be shown in children's media. Off the top of my head, shows like Bluey, I think, are really good in terms of not like sanitizing themselves or dumbing down while still being really good and like accessible for families, not just specifically children. So I think that yeah, not to sound like like some kind of like old conspiratorial like, "Rah, you can't get away with this stuff nowadays." We used to have a
No, but
thicker skin back then.
no, you're totally right. And look, I was the key audience for this special when it came out. I was a young human being in the 1980s, and there was something about media back then where it was almost like they wanted to make sure the kids knew what it was like to be scared or to be uncomfortable or to like I mean think about like kids movies or family friendly movies where things like I always think about like the Goonies and like there's
Mhm.
some like adult stuff in the Goonies or there's some like really like scary stuff that's happening. E.T. Like there's like terrifying segments of E.T. um and nowadays like it's almost like we're afraid to let our kids be exposed to these things, and so things have to be very safe. And I feel like this is a good example of like, okay, Sesame Street, maybe it was pretty rare that they would actually scare their audiences, and we can kind of count on like one hand like how
Yeah.
many times that's really happened, and it seemed like it was kind of unintentional each time. So like that I understand. Preschool I get. But you get a little bit older than that, and it's like, well, let's kind of toughen up these kids a little bit in a safe way. Let's make sure that like, if they do encounter something scary, they could deal with it and not be like, I don't know what this feeling is. Um,
That
so
is
I love the idea that we're saying like, okay, look, if you're a preschool kid, you're still going to appreciate like all the stuff with the Sesame Street characters that we're doing here. But if you're a little bit older and you might be thinking like, Sesame Street, that's for babies. It's like, well, don't worry, we're going to cook and eat Big Bird. And like, you're gonna think that's hysterical.
I think that's an incredible point that you bring up, and one of the things that I think is one of the most important roles I think in children's media is portraying like harsh, negative, and like big emotions in a safe environment. It's one of those things that yeah, the world is scary, the world is hard. There's a lot of fucked up, horrible things that go on, to give children the opportunity to experience what some of these emotions feel like in the safety of their home, of their family. I think that is a big thing that, like, yeah, I would literally remember growing up watching Thomas the Tank Engine VHSs and getting fucking terrified at like the scare because they would go out of their way to do like really,
Diesel, man. Diesel terrified me. I was so
yeah, they
scared of
would do
that train.
scary episodes. And but I remember being scared of them at the time, but now appreciative as an adult that I'm like, I'm glad that in my little, like in front of my little box TV with my VHS tapes, I was able to feel scared, but without actually having to like go through the actual experience. And I just think that cook and eating Big Bird, it's like we're making all these like kind of bigger points about like the role of children's media and like how you like portray these emotions. It's also just funny as hell that Big
Yes.
Bird is like gonna
Yes,
get
it's
cooked.
not
That's
actually
so good.
scary. Like Big Bird is like hitting him with his tail. Big Bird is
Yeah.
completely oblivious. If Big Bird was like, "Oh no," like or like being chased around with a cleaver, like no, that's too far.
It's
Yeah.
like we know that they're not gonna kill Big Bird, like
Yes.
duh. So it's like you kind of go into it with the mindset of like, how is this silly little thing? How is Chef going to fail at? And another thing I want to point out super quick, super tied to you. We don't have to comment on anything. The scene where Swedish Chef throws the dinner pan like
Yes.
behind when he sees Big Bird. I always watch that and go, that's like a heavy real pan. Like
Right.
fucking took someone out. Like they
He
just
could have taken Steve Whitmire's arm completely off. It was
yeah,
right there.
literally. How and
Like
also
when
how
he
did they do
ducks out
that
of frame, I
right-handed
really
and
think that's Steve
left-handed?
being like, "Oh God!" Like he almost hit me.
And like I always think like the timing of like the two because it's like yeah like one there's two people operating Chef. Like they had to coordinate the hard toss backwards. That could have instantly hit Steve like
For
immediately.
real.
But with Chef, that's something that they've had like years of prep for because Chef in of himself is a chaotic character, and it's like it's Jim operating the head is completely at the mercy of Frank doing the hands and whatever Frank thinks is funny.
Right. It's true. Uh, yeah, the thing, and it's funny, like thinking about like to that point too, the things that scared is not really the strongest word, but
Mm.
concerned me were
Yeah.
things like when the Swedish chef says, shredded wheat and cranberry sauce. And I remember thinking, it's still, as an adult, I think, you can't feed that many people with shredded wheat and cranberry sauce. Like,
My
I'm
favorite.
starving. It's Christmas. We want a meal. Give me shredded wheat for dinner. Ugh.
The
That's
amount of This is also two specials, Muppet Family Christmas and Muppets from Space, where Swedish Chef messes up really bad, and they're just like, we have two ingredients, and you can,
And great Muppet caper.
yeah, yeah.
Steering wheel souffle for dinner. Again.
true. But yeah, speaking of like something that I think not only were because like obviously it's a Christmas special. One of the key things you have to get right is it has to have a lot of heart and a lot of that spirit of Christmas sort of like schmaltz, and it's got to be very warm and cozy, which I think this special absolutely succeeds at. But it is not just a Christmas special; it is a Muppet special. It's got to be funny. And I
What?
think that the gags in this, especially like the consistent gags, again, I think it is some of the best of Muppets. The one specifically that I really love, just because I love gags that like respect like the continuity of like a location or the continuity of a circumstance. My favorite gag in Muppet Family Christmas is the icy patch in front of the door. And
Careful
how
of the icy patch.
each and
Maybe
every one of
the
them
greatest
slips before
the greatest
coming.
Muppet character of all time is
Oh
that
my
icy
god, yeah.
patch.
I have I would agree fully with the icy patch being fucking hilarious. I like and it gets to be an emotional thing at the very end when Piggy slips on it and they all go, careful of the icy patch. It's like, oh, you guys all just like had the day spending getting like having now y'all have this inside joke, and that's beautiful. And
And they
like I
keep forgetting that it's coming. Like Fozzie slips on it, and then like when all the Muppets come in, they all slip on it. All the Sesame Street characters come in, they all slip on it. Rolf slips on it. The Swedish Chef, and you forget every time someone's coming to the door, and then whoop, there they go.
careful of the icy patch.
So
I
good.
Some of the best physical comedy that the Muppets do is when they go completely ragdoll. That is when they flop themselves around. Literally, like the genesis of this, like the name of this podcast and the genesis of my Muppet journey is a promo for like Muppet Home DVDs where Miss Piggy karate chops Kermit and he gets ragdoll flung against the back curtains. Some of the funniest things that you can do as a puppet performer is just have the puppets go ragdoll, and so the icy patch just works for me on a tremendous amount of levels.
And isn't it interesting that we never see the icy patch? We know
yeah,
it's there. We never see like a Muppet foot that goes down on the thing and then slits. You just know it's there. It's just like Kermit doing
Mm.
happy feet, and you never
yeah.
see his feet. You just know that he's tap dancing.
It's the
There's something
implication.
so brilliant about that.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I feel the same way about the cold enough to freeze your Winnebago joke because like it's one of those just like very Henson-y kind of dumb jokes that they commit to. It's like one of the things that as Will pointed out, this is not just a Christmas special, this is a Muppet special. This would not be a Muppet special if Jerry Juhl didn't have one fucking line that he globs onto and puts throughout, and just it gets funnier every single time. I mean,
Yeah,
every
he knows the
special.
power of a running gag. He
Yes,
gets it.
Icy
He gets it.
Patch and Winnebago being in the
Yeah.
same special is like you can't
Yeah.
you can't top that.
I'm usually pretty wary when it comes to we'll call it Muppet heart. A lot of people talk about
Mm.
how like Muppet projects have such a great balance of humor and heart. And that's true. However, the heart needs to be earned. You need
Yes.
to have a lot of fun and then surprise you with the gut punch of actually it's emotional. I always think
Mm.
about the Muppet movie and how we've got this crazy adventure and there's a lot going on and it's funny and the songs are great and da 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 da. And then boom, Gonzo sings I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back for someday.
Kermit
And
talks himself.
right. And it's
Just
just like it comes
emo.
out of nowhere for this weird character that was just doing a belly flop on the roof of the car a few minutes ago. Um, and it only works because you got to that point. And there's other Muppet productions where they try that balance in a different way. Like I'm thinking about Letters to Santa and how Letters to Santa has it starts with so much heart. And like the Muppets just care so much about Christmas and this little girl who wants to get her letter to Santa and da 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 da. And it's just like, but it just comes out as schmaltzy to borrow Will's word from a few minutes ago. It's really saccharine, and it makes it so that like, well, we have to now rebuild from here to try to remind you that the Muppets are funny, and it's all flipped. It's all the wrong way around. But here in Muppet Family Christmas, it is funny, 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 funny all the way through, and then when we get to okay, it's time for the carol sing and we can take a breath and say, okay, we have been having a great time here, everybody. Like the funny stuff, we're gonna take a little break. We'll be more funny stuff in a few minutes, but for now, let's have a little sing along, and we can just enjoy it for what it is. And like I think that balance, Jerry Juhl, he knew what he was doing.
I think you make such a good point in how like Muppet emotional payoff like has to be earned in Muppet Heart. I think too often because of the nostalgia surrounding the Muppets and because of like how much so many different generations have grown up with the Muppets, they are now this like very big piece of nostalgia. I think there's this kind of expectation in Muppet projects by just them being there is like enough to have the heart by the fact that it's like, oh my God, we all know Kermit. We've seen him in the original movie. We've had like 14 freaking movies of like Kermit with heart that we already like know is there. And so I think like one of the problems with like modern Muppet projects is exactly that, is that there's this assumption that them being there automatically equals the heart versus like this special Muppet Family Christmas, where as Joe just said, that they joke all the way through and they get to the carol sing. And it feels so earned. It feels
Earned.
like
Yeah.
Piggy getting there to the farmhouse doesn't just feel like this silly. It is a silly gag all the way through,
Mm.
but then they start doing it as like, oh, Doc is like emotional about this. And Kermit is like, wow, Doc is going out to get it. And the special, it gets like 35 minutes in. And then the last 10 minutes, it's like everything starts switching to being like, oh, you're going to start crying now. Because
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you go from joke. Piggy is like trying to push the taxi and she gets covered in mud. She gets blown away in the wind. But then she gets there and you see Doc on the sled with, oh my God, it hits so emotionally. And then the whole rest of the special, the last joke basically is the Maureen the Mink joke, which is hilarious, by the way. But like, it's just emotion. And then, hi, I'm Maureen the Mink.
This
Love it.
diva. But no, yeah, I think when it comes to like the Muppets and like the idea of heart, I think you're absolutely right, Joe, when you say it can be something to be wary of. Because the Muppets in modern day today, they are such a thing that are so beloved and so associated with like positive memory and associated with like their big hearts in the hearts and minds of people today that it is so easy for Muppet projects to just sort of like dangle the carrot of sort of emotional like catharsis in front of audiences. But when it's something like Muppet Family Christmas, they really commit to this building you up. And I think it's not just in this and it's not just in Muppet projects, but just in general, heart, like the idea of like heart and like emotional catharsis is best administered when you've had a second to have your walls broken down, when you've
Yeah.
been built up in a certain way. And I'm going to harken to a film that I saw recently because it is one of my favorite films that I have seen all year. I don't know if either of you guys have seen it. Are you fans of the Knives Out movies?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I watched
new
the first one in Glass Onion.
I'm not gonna talk about what specific moment, but if you've seen the newest one, Wake Up Dead Man, there is a moment where like the whole beginning of the film has been like, ooh, intrigue and like mystery and a good deal of comedy because those movies are very funny. And then there is a moment that happens during like one of the funnier scenes in the movie where it just completely like shifts tonally. And it is a gut punch, as you said, Joe, that is genuinely, I think, some of the like I hardly ever cry watching movies on the first go. Whenever I watch a movie the first time around, it's like I'm taking it in, I'm processing it. I will usually cry on the second go. It takes a lot to get a movie to get me to cry on the first go, but there is a scene in Wake Up Dead Man, and I won't like spoil anything about the movie, but it's when Father Judd takes the woman's confession over the phone
Yep.
while
Yep.
they're like talking about it.
Oh my
Just
God,
like
that's you're 100% right.
no, literally,
Because
it's
that scene
building
is
you up because it's such a funny
hysterical.
scene. It
Yeah.
makes you think like, oh, it's funny. They can't get an answer out of this woman. Would
Yes.
you pray for me, Father? Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Well, and I mean, look, we could talk about this for an hour too.
Yeah.
The actress in that scene, who's Bridget Everett.
Mm.
I don't know if you've seen her show. Oh boy, I was not planning on talking about this, so of course it's not front of mind.
I'm not familiar
Her
with the actress, just to help you out.
So she has a sitcom, Somebody Somewhere is what it's called. They just wrapped their third and final season recently. It's brilliant. But talk about a show that knows how to balance its humor and its heart. And the humor on that show is so like deliriously funny, deliriously funny, and like I mean, and because it's so funny, and because of what they've written and how they perform it, you fall in love with these characters. They become your best friends. So when something happens, you're like, oh my God, no, I'm feeling everything for you. And that's why that scene that you're talking about in Wake Up Dead Man is so perfectly cast.
And I
But
think,
I think in terms of, oh, sorry, Max, I
oh,
will.
oh,
But bringing it back to Muppet Family Christmas, the emotional core of this, and again, it's so well cast in which picking the characters to make the emotional core of
Mm-hmm,
this.
mm-hmm.
And this is something that me and Max have a bit of a back and forth about, but it's one of the biggest feathers that I have in my cap for my argument about it, is that really one of the key emotional cores in this is Kermit and Piggy, and specifically how well their relationship is portrayed in this. It is some of my favorite portrayal of Kermit and Piggy's relationship is in this special because it is so tender and so genuine and so not played for laughs, where sometimes their relationship is great when it's played for laughs, but I care so much about those two and them trying to make it work. And this special is some of my favorite stuff to watch the two of them in.
I,
There's something really interesting that happened in this era of Kermit and Piggy's relationship. I think you can kind of tell that Jim and Frank are getting real tired of like, so Kermit, like, what's going on with your relationship with Piggy? Or and like just playing that same. I've been doing that joke since 1976. Like they are tired of it, and so I think that at this point they're kind of saying like, you know what, they're together. They're
They're
in the
sweet.
background. They're doing their thing. Their relationship doesn't like the on screen relationship doesn't change all that much. But you don't have this whole like, oh, Piggy is trying and trying and trying and trying, and Kermit's trying not to, and trying to like stave her off, and like not admitting that he likes her, and like it just we got it. We told the joke. Move on.
Yeah.
And so now to your point, like where they're at here, where like he wants her to be with the rest of the family, like, and they show up and like there's mistletoe, and he's like, uh-oh, okay, I'll give you a kiss. Like it's not like, gee whiz, like,
Uh-oh.
I don't want
The
to
pig
like,
wants to kiss me.
yeah, right.
Howard,
It's,
grow a
I think
backbone,
it's
little frog.
so much
Grow
more
up.
like family. Like
Yeah.
they're a friggin' family. And like yes, families bicker, families don't always get along, but families aren't. I mean, at least this kind of family that we're talking about in this special, they're not the kind that are like, oh God, I'm so glad that you're all here, except for that one guy. Wah, wah.
yeah. I have a lot to say about like Kermit and Piggy's relationship specifically in this special. That my biggest frustration with Kermit and Piggy's relationship in its entirety is the way uh, modern Muppet writers cannot get. And this was a thing that started in the past, but as you the point that Joe just made about how Frank and Jim just being tired of doing that and wanting to have their relationship be committed, I am so tired of the Kermit can't commit to Piggy dynamic of like he can't see her for who she is. It's like I just want a relationship portrayed of them where they fully like Kermit can commit to her without any of these caveats and any of these anxieties. And it's what I love about Muppet Family Christmas is because it portrays their relationship in the most human way that I think it's ever been portrayed, where it's they have the back and forth of Kermit being disappointed, like, oh, Piggy is being a little selfish that she's like being in the city and not coming to the farmhouse and everything. And they have these back and forths where Kermit's having the worry that she's not going to make it through. And then when she comes through at the end, you feel like it's like, this is a real relationship
Yep.
where even though they have like Kermit is feeling however he feels about Piggy needing to get there, Piggy not taking it seriously enough to get there. But at the end, they have this like committed beautiful thing together, and it feels like, yeah, you can have your back and forths, you can have like your ways in which like it's the most Kermit and the most Piggy that they have been portrayed in their relationship, I would
And
say.
to yes and that, they're at a point in their relationship in this bit where they are comfortable with each other. So it's not they're not in a honeymoon phase anymore. They're not like so comfortable with each other that they're like a bickering couple. It's nothing like that. They're just together. And that's just how it is. Like when you've been with someone for many years. I feel like a lesser writer would have tried to put in a subplot where Kermit doesn't want to show that he cares about her, but he can't help but worry. And then she shows up and she's like, "You did care the whole time." And he's like, "Well, gee whiz, I guess I did." It's like that's not interesting anymore. Like it's enough to see that like she does want to come to the Christmas with everyone else. She keeps getting sidelined by things that she likes, like being a photo, in the photo shoot and shopping. And trying to take charge of like, don't worry about it. I'll just take this cat. Like she's got it. She's a modern woman. And Kermit being like, I'm supposed to be running the show. I'm the one who's making sure that everyone is fed and has a place to sleep and that they're safe in like when this storm is coming. And part of that is you, because you are part of this family. And so Kermit will naturally worry. So you get so much story out of that without breaking character and without having to add well, every time that you have Kermit and Piggy on screen together, they have to be doing this one dynamic, which again, we've been doing at this point for over a decade. Like,
I,
got it. Move on.
I think you make such a good point here at like the period in which we're at with Kermit and Piggy's relationship, where I also think it's like we're at an era too where like there's way less of the jokes where everything is about Piggy being like fat or Piggy being fucking like materialistic or being like they have a scene where Piggy's shopping for the flipper slippers and it seems like a kind of selfish thing at the start, but then it's like she's going out of her way because this is how she shows her like love
Yeah.
and affirmation and stuff, and it's like very clear to her character, and it's like when she comes in at the end on with Doc, nobody's like fucking Piggy over here, just like, oh my God. But everyone's just like, hey, Piggy's here. And she
She
got
made it.
through.
Yeah. She's buying a gift for Kermit.
Literally.
It's
And
not for
like,
her. She's not like, oh, I got caught up shopping for jewelry, buying new shoes for me. No.
it's
I
like,
mean, look, she waited till the pretty last minute to buy him a gift.
But that's Piggy. It's
that's
it's
Piggy.
like Caper onwards was such a good character shift for Piggy, especially in like the way that they performed in sort of like film together. Even Muppet movie onwards, like from the
Yeah.
start of like the movie era, marked a really good shift in the way that they treated Kermit and Piggy's relationship, and they treated that bit because you can't. There's committing to the bit, but there's doing the same version of the bit over and over again, and I really
Right.
think that it's very apt how you mentioned how the bit evolved because like
Yeah.
you're gonna get tired of it at some point. God knows we're tired of the will they won't they thing with Piggy or the non-committal Kermit and like materialistic and like pig-headed Piggy. Not to not to
I
pun.
hate seeing non-committed Kermit. I just want them to be together. Holy shit. Like it's
So
been decades.
So, to your point though, Will, I want to yes and you as well. So like, there's something that happened. You said it started is from the Muppet movie on, and I think this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Is what happened to Miss Piggy in 1979? In 1979, before that, we've had a few years of Miss Piggy on the Muppet Show, and the joke is she is a overweight, untalented pig who thinks she's a big movie star. And then the Muppet movie comes out, and she is a big movie star. So the joke has to change. She's no longer that character that she
She's
was in
made it.
those first few years. She's made it. So now she's this diva. Now she's got this huge ego that's been actually justified in the real world. On the Muppet Show, for those next few years, for the last few seasons of the Muppet Show, um, she is still like trying to like get Kermit over on her side, and he's not really committing, and she's flirting with other guest stars and getting jealous of the female guest stars, and like, it's, kind of the same joke. But you get out of that space, And actually, I guess this makes sense for your theory because Muppet movie did change it, but the changes weren't really starting to being started to put into effect until the Great Muppet Caper. So the Muppet Show's over. Caper, now she and Kermit can play these roles in this movie without having to have that non-committal Kermit. He can the first time he sees her, he's in love with her. Gets the the birds flying around his head. And Muppets Take Manhattan starts, and they're already pinned. They're engaged to be engaged. They are together. We're just gonna move on with it. Not a perfect relationship. That's fine. We need drama in our lives, especially for our movies. So you know, we get that Kermit and Piggy until you reach the post Jim era, where I feel like Steve Whitmire's performance as Kermit, uh, he took Kermit back a step in terms of that kind of committal. Jim's Kermit was a producer. He's here to get this job done, and Piggy's getting in the way. That's how Jim portrayed it. But Steve's Kermit was a little bit more like, "Oh, gee whiz, I don't know if I can do this," which is fine. That's just another choice. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but we're talking specifically about that relationship between Kermit and Piggy. That's something that kind of got reintroduced into his character and then stuck around for the rest of Kermit's existence. And now what we're seeing is, well, we want to see Kermit break out of that again. We want to see Kermit and Piggy just kind of be co-workers and like let the story dictate where the drama comes in, not from well, they got to do this thing again. They got to keep, breaking out that same joke.
Well, it's
My
something that.
opinion. Oh, I just want to say quickly that like I have said before, I'm so tired of watching Kermit and Piggy not be together and not just love each other with the full. Because when you get to Muppet Family Christmas, you feel like you were at this point in their relationship where they love each other fully for who each other are. There is no more of that judgment and those jokes and all of those things. And it's just for me. I find it frustrating that it reverted back so hard because, like, Kermit and like Piggy deserves someone to love her fully for who she is. And it frustrates me that we got to a point where she got that. And then now is like, no, Piggy is this diva that deserves the love that from Kermit. And I'm tired of seeing them not be together. And Muppet Family Christmas is one of the best portrayals of their relationship, in my opinion.
So true, so true. It definitely is something that is one of the main things that I'm interested about in terms of the future of the Muppets, because for the last fair few years, we've not had a lot of progression in terms of the Muppets as characters because they haven't really had the chance to. The most character development that we from Muppets that we've seen in the last decade has been from the Electric Mayhem. Um, which like and it makes sense that they're about to get a ride dedicated to them as well because it's like yeah well, the majority of like the focus in terms of like actually get to seeing them as characters was in the Muppets Mayhem because I don't know if Muppets Now was the format to really get into the Muppets as characters because
No.
it was a
Fuck no.
production that was really a victim of the circumstances and of
And
time. You didn't
We
get a
could
chance
spend
to see.
hours talking about all the problems that Muppets Now came up
So
against.
if
Like it's a
you
lot
say
of
that
a
like
lot
we
of
don't
fun.
have an episode geared up for that, 2026, you better be ready. But it's like yeah, we haven't really had the chance in a lot of in recent years. I'd say since Muppets 2015 came off of the air, we haven't had the chance to have the Muppets develop a bit more, which is why I'm really excited to see not only the Muppet Show, but my big hope for the Muppet Show is that we have a lot of those in between segments, in between the sketches and bits, where we get to see backstage and we get to see the behind the scenes of it all and like them desperately trying to have all of the little components of the show, which are great, but they are only half of what make the Muppet Show great. I really want us to get back to a point where we can get to know the Muppets as characters outside of just their bits.
yeah.
So what's interesting about what you just said is something that I think a lot of Muppet writers get wrong, which is we want to get to know these characters more. Therefore, we should find out where they live. Not literally where they live, but like more about what they are outside of the theater.
Hmm.
And the Muppet Show, one of the reasons why I think that those characters became so fully formed right out the bat was because we didn't need to know where they come from or what they do outside of the theater. Their whole character can be this character that they play in the theater. Fozzie Bear is a bad comedian. Boom. Gonzo is a starving artist that no one understands. Boom. Piggy is, same like everyone's like that's that thing that we talk about a lot. Muppets are bad at their jobs, but what does it mean that they're bad at their jobs? Okay, well, Fozzie wants to be loved. Gonzo doesn't care what anyone thinks of him. He just wants to create. Scooter is, opportunistic because of his uncle. I'm talking about like these first couple of seasons of the Muppet Show while they were figuring out who these characters are. And so, by the time you get a couple years into this show, you know exactly who they are. I don't care where they live. I don't care who they date. I don't care like what their favorite food is. It does not matter because when you put any one of these characters in a situation with like the guest star, you know how they're going to react. So it's one thing I'm kind of excited about, but also kind of afraid of with this new Muppet Show reboot is we're going back to the basics. We're going back to, the Muppets are putting on a show. We are going to see what they're like backstage. Can we keep it to that? Or are we going to feel like, wow, we just spent the last 40 years, 50 years, exploring what else is out there for them? Sending them on a road trip, sending them to London, putting them in college, putting them in movies, having them go hang out with Fozzie's mom at the farmhouse. We've been adding and adding and adding and adding, which has been, I think, successful in so many of these examples. But can we go back to Fozzie Bear goes on stage, tries to do a bit, Statler Waldorf shit all over him. He gets off stage. That's enough.
Yeah. I
Man, I
think
think you just completely shut me the fuck up. That's an incredible point. That is, man.
It's just my opinion. I don't want you to think that like I'm telling you that
No,
what I
no,
think
no, no,
is
no. Absolutely
I
not.
well, to the point that Joe is making, I think it's like very like the Muppets. As I brought up this point before, that the Muppets are very engulfed in the nostalgia that they had before. There's a lot of expectations on how like what people want out of the Muppets, how they're supposed to sound, all of these things. Like people have a very like distinct idea in their head of like what the Muppets are to be. And I think there's two things. One, it could either be like they go so hard on the nostalgia and they don't take the risk of going outside of the like box of the original show. But what I think is more likely to happen is that like again, I'm not like trying to like I'm not immediately being negative about this show because I am extremely excited about it and I think it's going to be a great special. But like there's a worry I have in modern Muppet projects that they feel like they need to add like with that point that Joe made about how like if Muppet Family Christmas was written today, it would have like the little B plot of Kermit being like, I don't know if I can kiss Piggy under the mistletoe. Like I worry that like the point of the Muppets being enough. It's like I think it's complicated because the Muppets being enough for like their characterization for the way the show is supposed to go, that is a thing. But then there's also the level of like the Muppets just being there isn't enough to bring the heart fully. And it's like it's a very delicate balance in these earlier Muppet projects like Muppet Family Christmas, where yeah, it's like a very it's like not doing too much. So these characters are still so grounded, but also giving them enough and giving enough lines and little things that speak to the volume of their characters. And throwing this back to like Muppet Family Christmas as a whole, that's what I think is so beautiful about Jerry Juhl's writing in this, is that each line has little things that speak to the characterization of these Muppets that pushes along the story in a way where it's just like they don't need all the extra fluff. It's just Cookie can destroy that plate of cookies. Janice can be confused. Animal can be like, that's my kind of fella. And that speaks so much to the entirety of their characters and everything. In those little moments, it's like, we don't need the extra fluff.
There's a good point in there too that to add on to your already great points is that there's so much they could have added into just those moments if they felt like it was necessary, and I'm so grateful they didn't. For example, we know according to Emily Bear that these are Fozzie's friends from television, but we don't talk about like, okay, well, we're doing the Muppet Show, we're still doing it even though technically the show's been off the air, or like we're not like movie star, like it doesn't matter. Like we just got into a pickup truck and we came. That's it. We don't we don't ask about like how did the Sesame Street characters get there, or like what like don't they all have families? Are they all avoid it? None of that matters. All that matters is we are all here and the characters that you know are going to be interacting with each other. And there's obviously so much that comes out of just that that you don't need to add.
Yes,
True. It's kind of
absolutely.
like how we all came to be here as well. Like I know me personally, I showed up to record this podcast unannounced. Max came and walked through the snow and Joe emerged out of a Fraggle hole. So
It's
that's
true.
how this episode came to be.
And somehow we all still sleep. Let me try that sentence again.
Ah,
Somehow we all still slipped on the icy patch.
and
True.
we froze our Winnebagos. Like, isn't that crazy? And like to the point that you're both making that I agree with so much is that like we spent a good chunk of this podcast theorizing on like the continuity of the Muppets on like, oh, maybe they're here, maybe they're in Minneapolis, whatever. But when it comes down to it, like what's beautiful about this special is that like exactly what Joe said, you don't need all the extra things to convey the emotion and how they get there, all of those things. And like we've been talking a lot about this about Muppet Family Christmas. We've gone on a lot of really cool tangents on other things. I have like a little list of just brief things I want to say of like just moments that stood out to me that aren't like we don't have to go on a rant about every single one of these things, but it's like I would be remiss if we went through the whole podcast and I didn't acknowledge certain things that
Just like
happen.
a highlights reel, just like a bullet point highlights reel.
Highlights reel of this. I love when the honkers come in. I don't know why that's such a super silly moment to me when they come in. Doc's having the conversation with Bert and Ernie. They just do a little honk. I love that. Super funny.
Great.
Um, we've already talked about Doc with um, Bert and Ernie, the small talk scene. Another Doc scene that I just love is Rolf with the piano and the line of like, don't you hate it when you can't speak the language? That whole
Oh, it's
scene,
beautiful.
like, I would love to briefly. I know I said I have this list. I would love to briefly touch on the Rolf scene of Rolf coming in because just like it's so beautiful to me.
I love that Rolf gets his own little spotlight here. Not many of the characters do because they all come in mass. And for it to be Rolf, I don't know, it's interesting, but like you get to have that beautiful moment with him and Sprocket. Again, two characters you would never think you would get to see on screen together, and they just kind of get to bark at each other. Um, and then going to the out of tune piano, and you're like, oh, it's an out of tune piano. I love an out of tune piano. Oh, it's perfectly Rolf.
Mm.
Oh, so good. And like throughout all of these scenes, you're seeing like random Muppet rats on the stairwells. You're seeing like all these little Muppet characters run through where it feels the house feels so lived in. And it doesn't
Yes.
just feel like here's fun little crossover episode where they're all in this like one little set. It's like a very like there's all these other things going on that we don't really know about while like the main stuff is happening.
Well,
And
it's
I
this
just
Muppet chaos that I feel like it's not that we don't get it these days. It's just hard to recapture.
Mm.
And I think a big reason for that usually is budget, because it's like, well,
yeah.
we have six puppeteers. We can't fill the background with rats and chickens and extra characters. And it's something that I think we're so used to. Like even watching the Muppet Show, there's something happening backstage. Well, there's four more characters up in the balcony. They're just watching this happen. And yeah, there's something really beautiful about that I wish we got to see more of. But yeah, lived in, chaotic, rats
Like
and chickens.
so feels
All good.
so and emphasizes like yeah when you're home for the holidays it's not like everyone's just like all these other Christmas specials like I think of like a sitcom Christmas special like everyone's just kind of sitting around one set one little area where it's like no Muppet Family Christmas they go all over the house they go into the forest they go all over this like some it seems like a small set but then you're like oh shit they explore the whole house like it's
But
lifted.
that's also part of the brilliant part of the script, which is that it's not just one story. There's like six stories that are happening here,
Yes.
and Jerry Juhl is cutting between them. We want to see what happens with Fozzie and the Snowman. Then is Piggy gonna get over here? And then the Sesame Street characters are showing up. And what about Fraggle Rock? And what about Doc wanting a quiet Christmas? And like it's just everyone's got this little thing going on. The Swedish Chef and Big Bird, and like I love that it keeps the momentum going. And it, like you again to your point, the house is so alive. There's so much happening that just when you think you're going to get the next beat of this story, boom, we're moving over to the next one.
I gotta say,
Yes.
one of my favorite, like, thing, if I want to do my highlight reel, one of my favorite of those storylines that I'm very glad that you didn't bring up, actually, one of my favorite kind of like concurrent plots that's happening with everything is Gonzo and the turkey.
Yes.
So good. It's so good.
Brilliant,
About
brilliant.
to make some turkey hash.
it's just
I will.
it's
I want to say that
yeah.
this is another thing what I love about early Muppet or like early Muppet project stuff. I would consider this kind of early Muppet project in terms of how long it's, you get what I'm saying.
Totally.
Camilla, like when Big Bird comes on to the Muppet Show, Camilla is so right in being like, "What the fuck, Gonzo? I'm gonna drop this flower pot on your head." Flower pot. Like we know what happens. But like in Muppet Family Christmas, she fully entertains that damn chicken, that damn turkey. Like,
Isn't this exactly what happens with Kermit and Piggy, though? Maybe not
mhm.
exactly, but like there's a guest star, and if it's like Linda Ronstadt is our guest star, and Kermit's like, well, gee whiz, I always had a little crush on you. Piggy's like,
Christopher
go fuck
Reeve.
yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're dead to me, frog. But then Piggy's like, but also Christopher Reeve, hello, hello. Like she
Hey
can do whatever she
Superman.
wants. Yeah,
This is
exactly.
why David Cornsweet is on my list for prospective Muppet Show guests because we need that back.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, I would love that.
I
Yes, yes.
love like the dynamic of Gonzo and the turkey is so damn funny. I love that the turkey is there singing the carol sing at the end of the movie where it's like, and
They're
he's
part of the
next
family
to
now.
Gonzo. It's like, oh, they
Yeah,
worked it out. They squashed the
they
beef.
worked it out. They're gonna share Camilla.
Yeah. Like,
You
oh
know,
We're
my
not going
that's
to talk
their
about
thing.
what's
That's all
going on
right.
Muppet Family Boxing Day. We're not going to talk about what those three are up to.
God.
Um,
Ay, ay. I
ooh,
love that the turkey is like it's such a classic like Steve voice. I love whatever Steve got to do the like, hey, I'm this guy. What the fuck? Hey. I
I
just
mean, he
love hearing
easily could have
that.
played him like, oh, here comes the new Fonzie. Everyone's gonna be asking where Poochie is, and Poochie's not on screen. And it's like he's so scummy with
oh,
those stupid sunglasses and his tennis racket. Oh God, you
Oh,
hate him.
they do so well to characterize Muppets in like two or three lines. And
Totally.
even the
Yeah.
ones who you know what they're about, or when it introduces ones that you're unfamiliar to, two or three lines, you understand exactly what they're about. And that was the
There's
brilliance of like this kind of era of Muppets. They
yeah.
characterize them
There's
very quickly.
only a few new characters to this. You know, you get the turkey, the snowman,
Maureen the Mink.
Maury the mink, kind of Emily Bear, technically.
Mm.
Um,
Hard launching of
and
Emily.
that Jim Henson fella that shows up at the end. Um, and yeah, I kind of love that they like for each one of them, first line out of their mouth, they're like, "Yep, I know exactly who you are."
Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
something that we said about the Dark Crystal as well. They've established character very quickly in the Dark Crystal. You really got a quick sense of character. And I love that that's like it seems to be a consistent thing in a lot of like Henson media is that they because obviously with something as like story heavy as like Dark Crystal or as story heavy as often the Muppet stuff are because you can only rely on like characters whose existence is solely in gags so much. You got to have a good story behind it that they don't waste any time in getting character across. You don't have to go through a whole preamble of learning every single thing about a guy because it's like, here's the dude, they're in for the ride, let's keep moving.
And
I
compare this to just because of the puppet is the only reason I'm comparing this. The turkey puppet here, and then Beverly Plume in Muppets Now.
Mm. You,
Now,
I was really
you have
hoping
no
you wouldn't mention her because I don't like getting incredibly mean on this podcast.
you
But
don't have to get mean about it. Like no shade on Julianne Boucher. This is
no.
not
oh,
her fault.
absolutely not. It's never about the performer.
Of
It's
course
just
not.
I don't
Not
care for the turkey.
sometimes it
I'm
is. This
sorry.
time it's not. But we meet Beverly Plume on this show. We still she had I don't know how many of those segments that they did. I have no idea who she is.
Yeah.
Like she is not a fully formed character, and if she was behind the scenes, that did not get translated to the screen. However, you get this guy, this piece of work. He shows up
Piece of
right off the
shit
bat.
turkey.
Dummy
You
as hell
know
already.
he is so confident. He's like, yeah, I got invited by this guy. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna survive. I'm gonna get this great
I'm a
vacation, free
survivor.
vacation. I'm gonna flirt with that turkey. What are you gonna do? You gonna mess with me? I'm gonna mess with you back. You know exactly who he is.
You get in and right off the bat he's like, not only are you not gonna get a Christmas dinner, I might fuck your girlfriend if you're not careful.
Yeah,
That
And
motherfucker.
I'm gonna set the stage so that we're gonna eat your friend
I am a
instead of you.
survivor. And he's like, this is getting fun. Like, I'm gonna just
Yeah,
start
right.
yeah,
messing.
this
As
is
a
a
shit
game to me
stir.
now. You don't know
And
what you just let in your
and
house.
and
Well, we think
now I
about it.
kind of want to see them try Muppets Now again, but have it be this guy instead of Beverly
Yes.
Plume. Like, hey, yeah, we're here with the Swedish chef, and what are we gonna do? Gonna cook your friend?
Where
You know,
to see a segment where Swedish Chef looks like like is the guy you'd rather hang out with would be such a fun segment.
be amazing.
Like
Like
like I don't vibe with this guy. I want to hang out with the guy who's like setting fire to meatballs in the corner. Like
Right.
I love like the point that we're making about like Henson Media being so good at just the character right off the bat, specifically with this turkey. We brought up Dark Crystal, all these things. I think that's so true throughout this entire special. Where we obviously know like Bert and Ernie. We've been interacting with them for so long. But like the scene of the Sesame Street pageant where like they're like they don't have to say too much. Like Bert doesn't really have that many lines in there, but it's like every single thing. The two-headed monster being Santa Claus, all the monsters that are in the sleigh. It's like it's these little things where they don't have to over explain and they don't have to where
Yep.
it's like yeah, the two-headed monster. Just seeing them in the Santa Claus outfit and the thing, you get so much out of that. You're like, damn, yeah, it makes sense that they wouldn't have gotten the chance to do this. This is
Yeah, I
beautiful.
would be curious to hear from someone who like, I don't think these people exist, but like someone who doesn't know these characters. And like, who do you think they are? Like, is it successful? I think it would be. The only ones I'd be a little more hesitant on are the Fraggles, if only
Yeah.
because we get all of them at once. They only have a little bit of a moment to show you who they are. Like Boober's got his little line about frogs carrying germs. Wembley really it has the gag of saying "I'll say" over and over again, which is cute. But like, you really don't get a sense of who Wembley is. And so like, I'll give them a pass. They get
mm,
one song. You know,
yeah, they're the newest kids on the block. You kind
that's
of
true.
they're the chance at the point of the special coming out is higher than not of you already kind of being a bit familiar with the Fraggles.
I think they really do succeed though in just portraying the Fraggles as like these giving creatures that have love and empathy and all that. It's like they don't have to
Hmm.
say too much, but just the little action of Robin gets that Fraggle pebble. They sing the song. It's like I don't need to know every single thing about these guys, but I know that they're really kind and wonderful and make
Yeah,
me feel the coziness of the holidays.
They
And that's
got
all.
Fraggles as a people. They got down.
yeah,
And
completely
like
agree.
I absolutely adore it. Like kind of jumping around because I'm like trying to hit the highlight reel. I love the Sesame Street pageant. I think it's such a great scene. I have to point out the line of like to show that I'm not stirring. Like my hand does not touch the spoon as to show that I am not stirring. Thank you,
And he
puppets.
takes a
And Grover
bow.
says,
I
"Thank you,
love it.
puppets." Like that's so funny. Like Grover acknowledging that they're puppets is
Wait, does he say
kills
thank you,
me every time.
puppets?
He does. He goes, "Thank you, puppets. Thank you."
Oh
But
my God,
Grover
I'll have
getting
to go back and listen
existential with
then.
it. That's crazy.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little wary that he says puppets. I
See,
don't
I
know.
always thought he says Muppets, but every rewatch now I'm like, he's totally saying
Oh, I'm
puppet.
totally gonna look at it. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out.
Hmm.
I'm
We
so
Muppet
We will.
Moment
excited to find out.
listeners lambast me in the comments if I got that wrong.
Yeah, but we started a petition to kick Max out if they got that little piece of information wrong.
Fake fan.
I love the stir, like the bowl not stirring. I love counting all of the snowflakes. Like that shit kills me every single time. I want to quickly point out like the carol sing is so beautiful. There's so many songs in there that I didn't even really know before Muppet Family Christmas, but it hits so beautifully. But I wanted to like I would like the carol sing is so emotional. I want to briefly talk about I brought up Maureen the Mink a few times here. Love this character. Brief. They have one line basically. Hi, I'm Maureen the Mink. I worship the ground you walk on. That's like all that happens. But I met Karen Prell once here in Seattle at the Puget Sound Puppetry Festival. And for some reason, the only thing I could get out to her was, I loved Maureen the Mink in Muppet Family Christmas. And I could have talked about Red Fraggle. I could have talked about all that, but I brought up Maureen the Mink. And Karen Prell told me this like really cool story about like one not only being on Muppet Family Christmas and how just like wonderful it was. She just talked about how incredible of a project it was to be a part of and how they really felt the love and the family behind the scenes. And that she made this point about how like the reason the special feels so beautiful and feels so like familial is because that was the vibe behind the scenes. But like she said to me, she was just like, I can't believe you brought up Maureen the Mink because I thought nobody like that is a character that I why like that is one that like was so small in the thing. But she said it's like that speaks volumes to Muppet fans and how much people care about this and the love that went into all these specials that you can have a tiny little blip character like Maureen the Mink. It still make an emotional impact. It still adds so much to the special and adds so much to the characterizations of everyone else. And it's like when I talked about it with Karen Prell, it like I had this moment where I'm like, wait, Maureen the Mink's actually like a really good and important character. Like no, like Maureen's actually like a really good like yeah, the realization.
Where was Maureen's week in Muppet 70?
I love the carol sing. I think the carol sing is so beautiful. I just think all of like the songs that are sung just really hit so emotionally. I am not someone who goes around and carols every year, but like if somebody said like, "Hey, we're doing Muppet Family Christmas Carol Sing," I am there. There's nothing about that I'm missing. I love the scene of Fozzie and the snowman. I think Richard Hunt absolutely kills it as the snowman.
Totally agree.
Criminal that that got cut out in any capacity from the VHS release and any of the other home media releases. I love that there's a woodland forest bear. I think it's really funny anytime Fozzie gets to interact with like a real ass bear. Oh, there's a puppeteering moment that I want to point out. That's so small, but it's near the end of the carol sing where the woodland critters are all singing, and they cut to the scene of them in like the beautiful moonlit sky, like with the rabbits have the lanterns. Specifically, when you watch the background of the rabbit puppets with the lanterns, it's such a coordinated dance. And every time I watch the carol sing, I think about like, yeah, we brought up how Muppet, there's always so much movement, and the Muppet world feels so lived in no matter what set they're on and what location that they're on. They could have literally just had some like rabbit puppets in the background, like dancing along, singing along. But no, they put the effort into this like really coordinated puppetry sequence where it just, you feel the love that went into this special in every single aspect of it. And maybe the last point I have in my little list is I love the Sesame Street characters in their little winter attire. Like
I
I love
love Muppets wearing winter clothes.
Oh
that's
my
the
God,
best.
Where
the
they get the little scarves
wardrobe,
and the hats. Oh,
the
I
the
Oh
love
my
it.
their
god, the
Christmas
costume design in
wardrobe.
this movie is phenomenal. It's just so phenomenal. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Literally, the costume, like their winter wardrobe, was like my second to last thing. The last thing in my little highlight reel was that this is a pretty rare piece of Muppet media in that it is one of, I believe, only three pieces of Muppet media to feature Muppet Baby puppets.
Oh
It
Yes,
yeah,
is
true.
that's a great point.
Manhattan. It is Manhattan. It is this one, and I discovered beginning of this year that they did a bunch of mini episodes of the reboot of Muppet Babies for Disney Plus with physical Muppet Baby puppets.
That's
So
true.
it is
Yeah.
one of only, I believe, three pieces of Muppet media to feature physical Muppet Babies.
I will add, well, so I mean, you're talking video, so like there's a lot of photo shoots they did with these puppets. There's like
Mm.
calendars and stuff. Those
Oh
look
yeah, of
all
course.
beautiful. The only thing I'll add in on is they did a music video for "I'm Always Gonna Love You,"
Oh, really?
Ooh, I
and
didn't know
you
that.
gotta watch it. It's awesome.
Oh, I
It's
I
will. I will.
so
I will. I
good.
will.
I
Yes,
gotta check that
it
shit
is really good.
out. And like okay, I've always not to, we're not gonna go on an entire Muppet Babies tangent. I
Mhm.
never really been that big on Muppet Babies, not really my thing. I would say this is the most I ever tolerate Muppet Babies. This is the only special that I will sit and I will fully watch Muppet Babies and I won't have my usual criticisms. And like,
I'll say the two things, quick things about Muppet Babies. One is we talk a lot about how this special, it's like, oh, we get the Muppets, the Fraggles, and the Sesame characters all together. We should be saying Muppet Babies as well. Like
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
actually
True,
it is
true,
a
true.
part of like a whole other franchise that gets to be part of the special. The other thing is this is the only time we ever see Baby Animal
Oh, that's such a good point.
because he's not in Manhattan. He's not in
Is
the
he not in
music video.
Manhattan?
He's
Oh no, wait, he's not in Manhattan, is he?
God.
And to that point, isn't it interesting because this obviously comes after the animated series that we still don't have Baby Skeeter?
Oh my God. It's
And like, I
it is
get
an
why
interesting thing.
we don't want to talk about why adult Skeeter's not there, but at the same time, well, did you make a Baby Skeeter? Like, why don't you just throw her in there, let her sing the song with
That would have
everybody
gone.
else?
That
I
would have gone
like
hard. That would have gone so hard.
it would take us another 3 hours to talk about the whole dynamics of Skeeter and Muppet Babies, all these
Well,
things. But
and
like, I
sorry,
just
just throw. I want to throw one more thing out there.
yeah, go for
Is
it.
just the idea that like Ma Bear needed to be introduced to Kermit. She calls him a lizard, all that stuff. But didn't she know him when he was a baby?
She don't give a
She
fuck
known this
about that
guy for
baby.
years.
She don't give
Where's
a
the
fuck about that
continuity?
baby.
Get out of here.
Oh yeah, the lizard.
Mm,
It's oh my God. I find I mean I have a lot to say about
mm.
Muppet Babies, but the thing with Muppet Babies to me is that it's always felt like such a separate thing where it's like you have the Muppet Show, and then this is like their little thing for toddlers to fund the other
Mm.
projects. You know, like that's what it exists as. But when they
Served its
bring
purpose.
Muppet Family Christmas, it for in my opinion is one of the only times where I feel Muppet Babies like exists within the universe of everything else,
Completely
which
agree.
is like
Because
really
other
I
than that,
prefer it not to be, but you know, it's
yeah,
Squidward.
because you can choose to believe that the entirety of Muppet Babies, the whole franchise, takes place during Miss Piggy's dream sequence. You know,
Yeah.
what if we knew
Fucking-
each other when we were babies? What
mm.
would that be like? Boom, entire animated series and a music video. You know,
We're in that carriage for
this
a
is the one
long
place where
ass
like it kind of
time.
comes out of her brain and onto this projector screen. A lot of questions involved with like what that would mean if you really care about figuring out continuity. I don't think it's possible
I
to
don't
figure
know.
that out. So we'll just maybe move on from that.
Mm. Joe, to wrap us up, do you have any rapid fire bullet points of like favorite moments from this special that you want to make us aware of really quickly?
I don't because everything in the special is perfect. I love
That's the
every
correct answer.
I really I truly like I'm not saying that just to be like hyperbolic, but every scene in this special is just like, oh god, the icy patch, oh, and then like the turkey, and then the Swedish chef scene, and then Jim shows up at the end, and I'm like,
Oh,
every one of these scenes is just so good. I'll say this instead of giving you my list is in preparation for this podcast, I was like, oh, I'm gonna rewatch the special because I watch it every year anyway. But instead, this year I watched a video of our friend Cam Garrity,
Yes.
who's a puppeteer and a really talented guy. He had a podcast called Puppet Tears where he was interviewing puppeteers for a long time, and he in Buffalo, New York, put together a live script reading of Muppet Family Christmas. That video of the script reading is on YouTube. You can go watch it. It's called Muppet Family Scriptmas, and I felt like I'm so familiar with this thing that I'd like to see someone else's interpretation of it, and it was great. Don't get me wrong, uh, but like it was also just a way to really highlight some of this dialogue of like how funny it is. You don't even need the visual. And actually, to that point, I also have an MP3 version of the entire Muppet Family Christmas movie that sometimes we'll listen to on a road trip.
Yes, I do the same thing.
It works so well as an audio play. It
Yes,
is
absolutely.
what a tight script. You know exactly what's happening on screen, even if you've never seen it before.
I'm so glad you said that because I think I might have heard you say that
It's
at
possible.
some
We've talked about
point.
that on podcasts before. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure
mm.
you said that and I stole that. But
Yeah,
like
good. Everyone should steal it. Do it.
I literally like I had a road trip a few months back where I put on Muppet Family Christmas as an audio drama, and it just like you don't need all the visuals to know that the script is fantastic, that the character dynamics are perfect. This is to me one of the greatest things that Henson ever made, and it's just I'm so glad that like it exists. I feel so lucky that we live in a world where Muppet Family Christmas exists.
It's
Yes.
truly such a special Christmas special that I'm so excited to watch again with my partner this year as we did
Yeah.
last year. And I can really feel it becoming a Christmas tradition. As I hope us talking about specials this wonderful will become a Christmas tradition for many, many years forward on a Muppet moment. Um, because I feel like that's such a beautiful point for us to have ended on just how, Joe, I think it's not hyperbolic to say how perfect this special is. Yeah,
That's
I think that's a beautiful point for us to wrap up this really, really lovely episode.
Did we
And
earn this heartfelt moment though? Were we funny enough that when we got to this point and we're talking about how beautiful things are, like
I'm
I
gonna listen to it back on the edit, and I'll give you a
will
correspondence. I'll let you
Photoshop
know.
we'll Photoshop Jim Henson into the background so people will have the emotional payoff of seeing Jim. So we didn't
Yeah,
have to do
we'll
that shit.
dangle the emotional carrot in front of
yeah,
you to
no,
make
that's
this ending
actually yeah.
worth it.
Let's just emotionally manipulate all of your listeners, and
That's
so
what
they're
we
just
do.
gonna think, yeah,
I
this is just such a beautiful, heartfelt, somber moment, and it's just so filled with love and not fart shoes. Don't give me anything
Don't
too
cut away.
silly.
Give me
Now's not the
give me the
time.
full emotional payoff. I want to say as we kind of get to the end of this podcast here, I just want to plug a few things as we kind
Oh
of
goodness.
the end of the year has happened. There's been a ton of really incredible Muppet things that went on this year. There was the script readings, like Script Manhattan. There was all the incredible Tough Pigs podcasts that happened this year. So many great interviews. There was Henson Weekend. We're about to hit the end of the year, and one of the things that our buddies Shelby, Weird Puppet Girl, and Joe Muppetology have put together is the inaugural Muppet Grammys. And there's been Muppet award shows, all these things, but this is really an opportunity to really show the love for the community. And all of these were fan votes. Every single thing here is all fan appreciation, and it's just a really awesome way to get the community together. So on December 27th, I hope to see you all there at the Muppet Grammys. Will and I, this is exclusive to the Muppet Moment podcast, dropping some information here. We can Shelby can get mad at us, whatever. Will and I are hosting the red carpet beforehand. So
No way.
An hour or two before the show, Will and I will be doing the interviews. We'll be doing all that. We're going to get gussied up. It'll be a whole thing.
If you are not sick of the sound of our voices yet, then there will be more Muppet Moment live Muppet Moment for you. So it's not scripted. It's not no prep time. We are out there in front of the world. Just having to yuck it up in front of the entire Muppet community, and we are so excited. This will be going up before Christmas, so the Muppet Grammys haven't happened yet, but I believe voting's closing tonight. So if you voted for a Muppet Moment or for any of the other wonderful because quite frankly, we wouldn't be here if not for Muppet podcasts that came before us. So if you support Muppet podcasts, then please go and show out to see which of your favorite Muppet podcasts ended up taking the crown. But
perhaps it was one of ours over at
perhaps
toughpigs.com.
Maybe
I didn't think about that. We're up against each other in that.
We are in good
I
company.
was
Yeah.
about to say, vote Muppet Moment, but we're also here with one of our quote unquote competitors in the award show. Tough Pigs.
We're really,
I mean, obviously, like I really hope that we win. I mean, if we don't, it's fine.
We relish the competition. We're really good guys, by the way.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But I know Muppets, 70 years, 70 Muppets is up for Best Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have one more.
Moving right along, I want to say.
Moving right along, and then
and there's Commitment.
Companion is on there too.
Commitment, and then the Prairie Dawn.
Yeah, yeah. So we got a few on there. The one that I'm really hoping wins, which I'm going to take as a personal win, is for the best event category. I'm really hoping. I've got my fingers crossed for the Henson weekend, because we've talked about this already and we don't need to harp on it, but like such a special weekend for me, obviously a special weekend for you guys, and I would just really like to see that represented in the Muppet Grammys.
Yeah. So please just show up and come and cheer on all of your favorite independent creators, podcasters, event hosts. It's going to be such a fun evening, and we will see you right over there. But we are going to wish you a very fond farewell. We have, at the very least, one more festive special in us for this festive period. Depends on how quickly this guy can edit them. But thank you so much, everybody, for stopping by. And thank you so much, Joe, for gracing the podcast with your guestliness.
Thank you so much Joe, for having me. It was such a blast to geek out about Muppets with you. It always is. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for, I mean, look, I appreciate so much that even though you Muppet Graham folks have created your own circle of friends, that you have still made room for old folks like myself to come and play along with you once in a while. So
I mean,
absolutely.
On the opposite, it's like the fact that like we get to do all these cool things, the fact that we got to just do a podcast with freaking Joe Hennes Tough Pigs is like, that's incredible. And I'm just so happy with the place that the Muppet community is in at this moment. And I just am excited. I think we've got a lot of great Muppet things to look forward to.
Sure do.
Truly beautiful. Well, thank you so much.
I still hope that you don't win that Muppet Grammy. I want to win.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Vote Muppet Moment. Vote Muppet Moment.
Yeah, we're never having your ass back if that's the case.
Wait.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.